And we're live. PKA episode 290 with our guest Kwebbelkop. Kyle has some kind words for sponsors.
Yeah, I got 3 sponsors tonight. Me Undies, Loot Crate, and Squarespace. We'll talk more about them later in the show. I'm broadcasting to you from a cave this show, so this should be good.
Yeah.
Got Kwebbelkop on tonight.
Yeah, I'm psyched. Oh, so we have Kwebbelkop for about the first 2 hours, and then we have another guy coming on, Dave Alden? Rubin? What's his name?
Rubin.
And he'll be our guest for the second half.
I've watched his content. I usually don't like, obviously, everybody watches shit that they kind of like. So when I watch a news guy, I prefer that he be a little more conservative so I can be like, aha, I knew I was right the whole time. And Dave Rubin's more of a liberal guy, but he's super reasonable against the whole regressive left thing, and I like him a lot. He's entertaining. But Kwebbelkop, how are you doing, man? You said you took some drugs right before the show, just to make sure you put forward the right foot and making sure as to be as funny as can be.
Yes. I can't do I can't do the Kwebbelkop impression. I'm sorry. It's just that's too good. That's too real.
You're an articulate guy that speaks more languages than me, and my impression of you sound like some Slav who hopped off a boat in New York in like 1919.
It's not a Dutch
barely
accent.
putting
Not at
the
all.
pieces together. Like
He's like Borat. So, heard any interesting drama, rumors, etc. this week?
Not at all. Definitely not. It's been pretty boring. So just check out my betting website.
So
yeah, we have PKAgambles.biz that we're
/
using.
Kwebbelkop. Make sure to use
not
that.
affiliated. It's a happy circumstance. So happy accidents. Thank God for small miracles.
I'm happy to, unless someone else wants to lay out the 2 or 3 minute what we're talking about thing. Okay.
You can say it.
All right.
It seems like Kwebbelkop had you've been following it pretty intensely, you and Woody. So give us a tandem catch-up.
Okay, I could do it.
All right.
So basically there were these 2 YouTubers who were running 3 YouTubers. Who's the third?
JoshOG or something?
Yeah, but nobody cares about him.
I don't know who that is.
He's
that
not
guy.
He's literally the other owner. But carry on.
Anyways, okay, so there were 3 YouTubers.
Out.
Yeah, Woody, you go tell the story, okay?
Oh, do you want me to do it?
Yeah,
All right,
you know more about it.
So there's 3 YouTubers and a couple devs who were kind of out of the line of fire for some reason. And, I guess they didn't do the bad stuff. So these 3 YouTubers, Syndicate, TmarTn, and I hope I get the other guy's name right, JoshOG or OG Josh, something close to that. I didn't know Unbound before this. They made a CSGOLotto website. And the way it works is you get skins. You can get skins either by playing CSGO and then buying a key with real life money to get skins, or you can just go to other websites and buy skins. It's worth noting that at CSGOLotto, you can't buy or sell skins. You can only win or lose them. So that makes it not gambling in the eyes of the law right now. So these guys founded the CSGOLotto site, and then they promoted the site without fully disclosing that they owned it. And you take that sin, and then I guess the community has wrapped a lot of other sins around it. For example, I should mention, you can buy and sell these skins off the website. So in the eyes of the public, it's a gambling site, and skins are just kind of like poker chips, right?
The skins are worth real money. And I don't know how much they're actually worth, but apparently
they can be
some
worth
of them have
thousands.
sold
Yeah. On the high end, they
dollars.
are worth like 10 grand for a good knife skin. So in the eyes of the public, and I guess in the eyes of any reasonable person who's not a lawyer, might say, look, these skins are just poker chips. The fact that you have to walk across the hall to exchange them for money doesn't mean they're not money, right? That's the way it is. So anyway, you can trade these skins online. So the principal sin is that Syndicate, Tmart, JoshOG, I gotta get his name right.
It's JoshOG. I just looked it up.
Okay, they ran the site and they acted like they were happy customers instead of saying that we own this thing, right? So that's the principal original sin. And then beyond that, there's been a lot of sins that are kind of assigned to them that have, in my opinion, different levels of truth. Like one is you're promoting this to kids, right? And I had this really good debate with my wife about it. I was like, I feel like he's only half guilty for that. Like, you don't get to tell, you have to check a box saying that you're over 18, but that's like the limit, I guess, aside from the existence of, you know, owning an over 17 game and stuff. But you just check a box, say you're over 18, and you're kind of lying to Tmart and Syndicate and JoshOG about the fact that you're over 18. So is he responsible for that? I was telling my wife, like, he's only half guilty. And she said, what about this? What if he owned a bar, right? And people with fake IDs were slipping in. Would that be his fault? And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I guess it depends, you know? If you get 19-year-old Taylor, who could pass for 27 with the full beard, slipping in with the fake ID, then I give that bartender a pass, right? You know, like, these things happen.
Me too.
Yeah. But if the place is hopping, you know, just the whole dance floor. Well, not just that. If the whole dance floor is bouncing around with 17 and 19-year-olds, right? Then that bartender or bar owner is complicit in the fact that there are kids, you know, frequenting his place. He knows he has a problem, and he's just accepting any old written in crown ID. And depending on what their makeup is, that depends on how guilty Tmart is of this whole, like, promoting a site to underage people. If tons of the guys hitting it are 16 years old, then you can't just have a checkbox, dude. You know, you got to do more. If in fact it was just the every now and then guy, then I see him as a little less guilty. But do you have
to, or should you? That's what you literally just said was you have to, but do you? Because every porn site I've ever been to, nobody ever asked me to hold my ID up to the camera. Nobody wanted to, like, look at my birth certificate. They're like, you 18? You want to see some pussy? Come on aboard, motherfucker. Like, if these kids have access to a credit card, then their parents are signing off on whatever these kids want to get into. The parents are the ones that are really at fault if you want to say that there are children who are gambling. In my eyes, Syndicate sort of lied, and he said that, hey, I'm sponsored by this website, when in fact he owns it. But he did at least meet the legal requirement of saying, I'm affiliated. And but TmarTn, he really went out there. There's a lot of stuff that's hard to defend.
Saying I'm affiliated with it when you own it doesn't meet the legal requirement.
Says who?
Because the attorneys.
The law.
Yeah, the attorney.
See, I just had an attorney that told me something different. See, like I got like one. You know what I mean?
At least say it's up for debate, because, like, the video game attorney did a Q&A on it, and that guy's a real attorney, by the way. He's not Cliff Hutchinson.
Yeah, I think I did really well in that AMA.
No, the video game attorney looked at it, and they even linked to the FTC guidelines on it, and everyone's been linking to the same one. That if you say, hey, these guys have sponsored me, but in reality you own the company, then you failed to disclose the nature of your relationship, which is, I think, how it's worded. It's something close to that. So,
I wonder if he went on see, like, what I have seen is all these TmarTn tweets and stuff that, you know, in his own words. I haven't seen as much of that from Syndicate, but you've got TmarTn in his own words being like, hey, look what I just stumbled upon here. Ha! It's cool, huh?
Fancy
you
that.
Know?
Yeah.
I just stumbled upon this thing. Maybe I'll play a bit. Let's see. Huh! I won again. What's the chances? Every time I play, I just win. Ha!
I don't think that part's fair.
So bad.
Like, almost all the hardcore information I got about it, it was from the H3 video, and then there was, like, a subsequent one with more details. And first of all, that dude H3 has such spastic facial movements and movements around.
A little bit, yeah.
That it's like I can't even focus on him because I'm like, this guy's about to have an aneurysm. Like, he's in the last 3 seconds of his life. And
oh my gosh, what Taylor must think about me. You know?
No, I wasn't used to it, so I was watching him and I kept wondering, like,
but he's in control of his. Like, he's consciously like
he's doing
doing it.
It might be part of the act too. You know,
he looks like he constantly is about to sneeze, and he's just holding it back. He doesn't want to do 2 takes of the video. But anyway, enough about him. His information in the video was good. That was like one of my first videos I watched of his, and I liked it. And he really fucking nailed Trevor to the wall on, like, showing videos of Trevor saying, you know, I am not affiliated. I didn't do this.
Hey, I found these guys.
I've left it open. You know, it's been public knowledge the whole time that you could have gone out there. And then a video of him just up in the top right on his second channel, like, wow, crazy bananas, more money. as he and I really wanted to not believe all the shit about Tmart because I really like Tmart. He's a good guy, but especially the apology video he made rubbed me the wrong way because it was like he was saying, "I'm sorry that you didn't understand what was going on," and I'm like, "That's not fair."
I want to jump in.
No, go ahead.
So Taylor's been taking. I feel like it's been 80% Taylor, 20% Syndicate, and then like 1%. I know that's more than 100 of JoshOG. You know, like no one even notices that guy. He got lucky.
Part of it is that. Can I ask a question?
Right
because I don't know, because I've never heard of JoshOG. Does JoshOG have a YouTube channel where he promotes this website?
Twitch streamer.
He's a Twitch streamer mostly, but his YouTube channel is is 150,000 subs. Do you still have it up, Quib? He's a significant YouTuber.
So do we think that there are actual fans of him who are not TmarTn / Syndicate fans, though? In all honesty, isn't it really like if
one would guess
isn't
it's
it really
mostly a
like
subset.
if I'm being honest here, I bet it's like if you and I, Woody, were pulling some sort of scam and somebody was like, nobody's even mentioning this Taylor guy. He was defrauding his fans as well. And it's like, well, they're probably all in overlapping circles in the end, right? I don't care about this JoshOG guy. I don't know him. I don't know. I've never seen him do anything. I certainly don't have any videos of him standing in front of a camera going, "I'm sorry, guys.
He actually has said
I made a mistake."
So
not really what you would legally call a mistake, of course.
I got so much to say. So Taylor has taken 80% of this flack, right? On the chin.
You mean Trevor, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've done that more than once. Trevor has taken 80% of this, and part of it is because I think he hasn't done damage control perfectly. You know, like he's sort of been out there.
No.
Every time he says something, it's been fueling his people, and his apology was one of those. I feel like the attorney said, "Look, you know, you can apologize, but don't admit wrongdoing." So, like I feel like his hands were tied and he couldn't do the apology you want. He should have said, "Look, I love you guys. I value you so much. I'm so sorry I did this to you." Right? But he couldn't. He had to say, "Oh, it was public from the start, and I'm so sorry I wasn't more clear about that, and you didn't know." Right? So that way he's not nailed legally, but the apology was worse than almost not apologizing.
Well, it's the apology, as Kwebbelkop was just doing the miming of digging his own grave. Like, he just made it so much worse by... Like, when I first watched it and I saw the whole, like, he's playing with his dog, like, I don't know how we're going to make through this video, I was just like, I immediately remembered from the 2012 campaign of Rick Perry to be president, where it opens on him and he's standing in a field and he's, like, petting a dog and he's like, "I'm Rick Perry, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm a Christian." And it's like, you weren't just playing with your dog there, or whatever. Like, it's not like we know that, like,
that's take 10.
Stumble upon you.
Yeah.
Like, that's like it's especially in the context of it should be a very sincere apology of I fucked up. Like, I know legally he can't do that. I'm not an idiot, but that's what it should be. So if you can't do that, why, put more onto the fire?
Why is it so? It's partly all Taylor because.
Trevor.
It's partly all Trevor because his damage control has been a problem. You know, like he told Scarce, "Look, I didn't own it originally. We were just checking things out, and then whatever." That turned out to be a lie, right?
Which was terrible too.
These lies are making things worse. He lies, and then he gets caught in that lie, and there's a couple of those along the way. And they just keep replaying that footage. So that's burning him. Whereas Syndicate is just being quiet, and there's really not much to burn. There's no news cycle on Syndicate. But this is Syndicate's third time being caught for this, right? There was the Xbox promotion. This is the third FTC violation for Syndicate. There was the time when he said Xboxes were great and didn't disclose he was being paid to say that. There was the time when he had a video game he was making, and he acted like he was a happy customer.
That was Machinima's violation, though, not his, technically.
Well,
so, I don't give a fuck about that distinguished.
Well, then don't
remove one.
So it's the third violation in your book.
No, please. Syndicate made that ad without disclosure.
You can't say he's got 3 strikes against him if you're doing the counting. You got to figure what the umpire's saying. So that one was on Machinima, not specifically on Tom.
Really? I'm not. The words came out of Tom's mouth. Like, I don't even get how this is defensible.
Can you explain a little bit about what it was that Machinima asked? Like, I'm not all...
To talk good about Xbox One, I think.
And keep a secret that you're not... Yeah.
he should know that it's a sponsorship. As a YouTuber, I know, like, if I'm getting paid to do something, I always will disclose it to my viewers. Like, even if it's just a link in, like, text in the description or vocally, like, it's, you know, you eventually as an entertainer, as the boss of your own company, you have to know these rules. It's default, like, everybody knows it at a certain, you know, size. By the way, the JoshOG guy has 1 million Twitch followers.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So so there was that one, and then yeah, Kyle, it is. So so there was that one, and then there was the time he owned a game and pretended he was a happy customer, and then there's this one. So this is the, depending on how you're counting, the second or the third time that Syndicate's done this. And but it, you know, it's really all fallen squarely on Tmart, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, well, it's because
it's a
people
difference in
want
damage
fresh
control
stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
like,
they want
fresh to talk
entertainment,
about
right?
With Syndicate, because Syndicate's, you know, just on cloud 9 of, yeah, well, it as cloud 9 as it can be in a shitty situation for him, because he has a channel that's like 3 times the size of Trevor's, way bigger as far as views, and like just by every metric, his channel dwarfs Syndicate's, or dwarfs Tmart's, and Tmart has a big fucking channel.
Yeah, more than one.
And still, Tmart taken all this flack because he, God, I
partly wonder if that's why.
Thinking.
Is it
Why
because
would he
Tmart is an
had to
easier
know?
target, a less dangerous target? Like, a lot of people have been attacking Tmart for a while now, and there's really no repercussion. You know,
No, it's just because they don't have anything new on Syndicate. That's it. If he, like, has not said anything. He tweeted one thing, that was it. But not, you know, no parodies can be made on a tweet, right? Yep. Everybody's making a parody on the dog and kissing and blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
That's like fresh information. That's the thing you don't want to do when something leaks.
There is a
had Syndicate been the one who made the "I'm sorry" with the dog video that was actually more like saying, "I'm sorry that you didn't understand what was going on.
I'm sorry you didn't look up the LLC filing in the state of Florida."
We'd see an exact reversal of the roles. It would be Tmart, who didn't post anything, not getting hounded, and Syndicate, who's bigger, probably getting hounded even more, just because there more people would have watched that video in the first place.
Yeah. What would have happened if Tmart said, "I'm sorry, I didn't disclose that I own this thing from the beginning. You know, I felt backed into a corner and, you know, told another lie where I said that, you know, like I didn't own it at first and then owned it eventually. And now, like, I'm done with the lies."
Any attorney's going to tell him, no, don't go make a video that's basically just an admission of guilt. Like, it would frame you poorly if this does go to trial or whatever the fucking
So would you just continue the upload schedule and act like you didn't notice this was all happening?
That's what Syndicate's doing, which I think is probably the best way to do it. Just wait for, you know, just contact your attorney and just pretend like nothing happened. Yep.
I would have done a quick sorry on my regular content and moved on. Like, I don't know if that's the right way to handle it, but that was my thought process. It was like, hey guys, I'm so sorry. I owned it from the start. I wasn't being the person I aspire to be when I acted like a happy customer. You're going to get full transparency going forward. Now, check out my new chainsaw lollipop.
But then again, like, it's so stupid. Why would you keep it a secret? Because, like, I host, I start companies left, right, and center, right? And I promote it to my subscribers. But every time I do, I will always tell them, like, listen, I came up with it. You know, I started this company, launched this company. And they love it, right? They'll, you know, enjoy it even more when I tell them it's my company than when I keep it a secret, right? The only reason I would keep it a secret is to eventually surprise them and be like, listen, you know, I was the owner, like, after
Careful
all.
with that.
Exactly.
Dude, if I owned CSGOLotto, it would be called CSGO Woody. And I would say this is the best goddamn lotto site in the multiverse, right? And then I would tell them why it was the best. Our things are provably fair, and the rake we take is I'm told they take 8% of the skins. We only take 6 compared to these other guys, and that improves you. Whatever it is that made my site the best or distinguished mine from the others, I would be pimping to the nines, and like everyone would know there'd be no surprises. Another thing, I would never, ever, ever, ever put myself in a position to take something from my customers, right? So like at Woodycraft, we would sometimes raid other people, right? But I'm an admin there, and it's not fair. You know, like if I bust into your base, I can spawn all the TNT in the world, so it's not fair. What we would do is we'd call it Raidy Claws. I'd go in there, break into your base, and then afterwards I'd repair it for you. And if there was some vulnerability that made it easy, I would fix that for you too. And then when I got in there, I would leave you gifts. If you're a small thing, I might leave you armor, which is like a little thing. If you're a powerful faction, I might leave you beacons, which is like a gift that even a strong faction might value. That's the kind of stuff I did, and that's what he should have done. If he wanted to bet on his own site, fine. But then just let them win 100% of the time. Hey, I won. Yeah, but really, here I am giving the things as if I lost. Give the skins away. Doesn't matter. Make smaller. You can pimp your site. You can live stream it. You can do whatever. But don't put yourself in a position to take from your customers. And I get that Woodycraft and the Lotto site are different things. But
I feel what you're saying about not, like, you don't want to put yourself in the situation where, but exactly what you said. I don't want to mulch over it again. But the whole thing with Trevor is, as of now, I don't know, and I don't think anybody does, if he or Syndicate were rigging it, making it so they were sitting there like, "Go fuck, 10 grand again today, lucky me." Like, but the fact that they would actually get those results at all, leads me to believe, multiple times, leads me to believe that it's bullshit, because you can go your whole life betting on shit and never hit a $10,000 prize, much less multiple ones, one a week, where you're just, every Tuesday, Trevor's striking it rich. And Syndicate, every Thursday. It's weird how they seem to space out their promotion of this fun site. Like, if that's the case and they, like, faked it like that, then that's beyond the pale. Really shitty.
Doesn't it work by, like, two people betting against each other? Like, I throw my things in the pot, you throw your things in the pot, and then one of us wins the pot.
Yeah, you have a certain percentage. You have a certain percentage to win. And then the thing goes and spins around. But then I'm like, what if they put like a 5%? What if they have a 5% chance of winning, even though they take a 6% cut out of every bet? Then they always win, right? So they could just, right?
They always get something. They would.
Exactly.
So wow! I just figured out what you're saying.
So they are always going to get something.
Exactly. Like, they'll put in like 5%, like they have a 5% chance of winning every time. Meanwhile, if they lose, they make 6% anyways, because that's a cut they take.
I don't know the truth. The number people use is 8%.
Well, 8%, right? Yeah. So they could just go with, like, even if it was still legit betting, they could still do the bets because they make money off it anyways, right? So, and then eventually they'll win, and then they'll upload it on their YouTube channel. Just
for people who don't know anything about this, like, what can happen is, let's say Kwebbelkop bets $10,000 worth of skins, and I bet $50 worth of skins. And ignore the numbers here because I'll screw it up. He would hypothetically have like a 95% chance of winning, and I'd have a 5% chance. And because he bet so much more than me, he's almost a lock to win. And but if I were to do that and I got 8% of the pot no matter what, it seems like I could just do that all day. I don't know.
Right? And then eventually you'd win out of the 20 times you do it. And then you go like, let's upload it on my YouTube channel, right?
You see, the problem here is that they've lost all credibility. Like, I want to say, hey, look, they could do this all day. They could play and get their video legitimately. I want to believe that of TmarTn. And to be honest, I think him owning the site and not disclosing it, and it doesn't bother me. I wouldn't care if I were on that website. I wouldn't have minded if I'm a fan. I don't care about that. There is a question as to whether the entire idea of the site is a bad idea because of the young people who are supposedly being lured in there. I doubt we're luring anyone like children to a pedophile's van. I think the reality is a lot of young people are really into this and have a lot of fun doing it, and it costs a little bit of money. And from the outside looking in, you're not always getting material to match the dollars that went in. But that's every hobby. I just spent $5,000 this week on a fucking hobby, and I mean, there's stuff to look at, but it doesn't look like $5,000.
Weed cookies.
That thing about the children, there's always someone else defending the children, and I don't know exactly what the right position is on it. So let me expand. Like, there's not many people saying, I'm 14 and I was so hoodwinked by this thing, I want my cash back. You know, when you're even at 14, you understand the concept of money. I was on my second job by the time I was 14, right? You know, I would look at a candy bar and equate that to the number of minutes I had to work to get that candy bar. I fully got money, you know, like understood the what money was all about at 14. But somehow, like, you know, I used to get it, and it might, you know, Woodycraft is a very different thing than some lottery site. But people would be like, oh my God, you know, Woody sells things to kids. He's taking kids' money. Right. And so does Amazon, and so does Lego, and so do clothing manufacturers. And like, so people can sell things to kids, and that doesn't make it evil. with this lotto thing, the evil for me is tougher to define. Like, is it? It is gambling, and I feel like you should be of a certain age to do it. I don't even know what that age is.
Well, the reason that they've always had age limits for gambling is, I would think, because of impulse control. If you're a kid and you really don't understand the value of money, if you'd had a credit card at 14 at your disposal, you may not have thought, I need to work for 7 minutes to buy this payday or whatever. Like, you may have been, you would have lacked that foresight, as many young people do, and they rack up a ton of debt on their credit card, and they gamble a ton on that. Not theirs, obviously, a parent's, but at that point the money's gone. Like, I do understand the reason that they have a limit for things like this, which is gambling for all intents and purposes.
So I think what the real question that it comes down to is this goes a bit beyond simple YouTube/Reddit drama. It may not be over next week to be forgotten and replaced by the newest hot thing, because it looks like that Trevor may have opened himself up to civil suits. You know, I see people on Twitter saying, hey, I saved this video of Trevor beating me, taking my money. Here the video is. I used to think of it as kind of a badge of honor that I would show off. Look how TmarTn beat me in a game. I played against him 1v1, and he came up and won. But now I look at it as evidence, and so does my representation. And then there's, of course, these FTC violations, which I don't know anything about the FTC. I just heard about it for the first time this week. I think that if some people were calling it the FCC, and I was like, are you sure that's who does this? You know, so who knows how much teeth that has and how often they actually use those teeth. They might look at this thing and say, yeah, there's 10,000 people on the internet complaining about this guy who runs a website. Is it bad? Well, it's just like 10,000 more websites, so no, not really, and they don't do anything. Or they might see this as, something to do, and they might go after Tmart and freeze his assets, which would be such a nightmare. Yeah, they might want to set a precedent of some kind.
So I read the video game attorney's opinion on this, and I'm a little... I'm not an expert enough to evaluate his opinion.
Take it well salted.
Yeah. But he said a couple things. He's like, someone's going to do a civil suit. He had 75 people write him. He's like, if it's not me, it'll be someone else. The thing is, if you lose like $75, if you lose less than $5,000, it's usually better to just lose it than to hire an attorney. Hiring an attorney doesn't make sense when we're talking about small amounts of money. I know this concept of a class action suit where everybody shares the attorney costs and etc. But even so, I'm not sure that individuals who lost on the site are going to bring cases forward. The next one is he thought it was likely, I don't know, that a district attorney, he's like, all it takes is a district attorney from one of these states to think that this is the kind of case that will get enough news that will help him win elections, right? So that's their goal. They prosecute people, they get famous, and they become either reelected or governors or who knows what. So he thinks that somewhere in America, one of these district attorneys will take it. I don't know. And then with the FTC, he said that while it's a problem, he didn't think the FTC was going to do anything, if I interpret this right. I forget who it was. There was this fantasy football or fantasy whatever sports thing that took a Super Bowl ad advertising their stuff. And that's what it took. It took like a big company to get a Super Bowl ad and tons of media attention. It was on like CNN all the time before the FTC said, all right, this is big enough to get my attention. So even though Tmart's on like BBC, the webpage, it's not the sort of thing that gets the FTC's attention, according to the video game attorney. So, yeah, if he had just been up front from the start, I think a lot of this other stuff, if he had said, look, I own this site, it's the best gosh darn site, please be 18, you guys are going to love it, then there'd never be a controversy. The whole controversy is, one, that he hid ownership, and two, he did whatever the opposite of damage control is, explosion stuff. So
yeah. He supplemented the amount of trouble he was in.
Yeah.
Maybe not legally, but everybody who was still on his side or on the Syndicate Tmart benefit of the doubt side, those kind of apology videos they rub people the wrong way. Not just I'm just surprised that he still uploaded that, having sat and watched it and thought this is going to help me. And that's not a knock on Trevor as a person. He's a smart guy, obviously.
Well, and he's not the only one who watched it. His dog probably watched it too and went like, "That's a great video."
Yeah. Maybe his attorneys.
You know one thing I noticed? So a couple months ago, Tmart did this video in support of Keemstar. Do you guys remember it? He even gave out his like G Fuel coupon code. Do you remember that? Yeah.
No.
He totally backed Keemstar, gave him the buy coupon code, whatever it is. Now there's no Keemstar video about Tmart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I got inside sources at Drum Alert. I could, poke around there too. If you guys ever fuck up, right? If just hit me up and I'll be like, no Keemstar video for you.
That's a string you can pull.
Yeah.
I actually
1 minute there was a video and I pulled the string and now there is no video.
I actually
taking my meaning.
I had it a while back, like 2 months ago. I broke up with my girlfriend, and the day I tweeted it, I also got a flat tire in an Uber on like a highway, right? So one of the guys that works there, who's a really nice guy, by the way, or works for Drum Alert, he just sends me like a winky face, right? And then the Drum Alert comes out, and they totally do not cover me breaking up with my girlfriend. They only covered me getting a flat tire. So I was like, "What? You could have totally covered it." He's like, "Nah, don't worry, I got you."
So look at you.
Yeah. So it seems to,
super connected. This guy.
Yeah, no, like it happened to me.
On
so
high.
I assume it happened to other people too, right?
Yeah.
It
seems like a pretty big story for Drama Alert to sit on the side and not cover.
Whew.
Somebody
lost a job.
So
then they would come up with like fake stories and stuff about like the guy that played RuneScape who was an alleged pedophile. Right. Like,
dude, that was an upsetting video to watch. I didn't watch the Keemstar one. Where apparently he did it. I just watched like the response video of this feeble old man who was just in that age of video games like that we were in right when the first online together console gaming came out, where it's like, wow, what a community. We all like the same thing and we can talk online. This guy's in that mode of, I'm just a retired old man and I just like playing RuneScape with my friends, and I swear to God, I have never touched a child, and I would never. Now it's becoming Bill Clinton and how he didn't touch a kid. But yeah, what is this, Kyle?
Oh, that's.
I think it's for later in the show. Are you looking to answer it, Kyle?
I didn't mean to answer that. I should have done that.
So we just give it a second. Yeah.
But anyway, that was a sad video of that old man. But back to the Tmart and Syndicate thing. Unless we've drilled that
in. Is Syndicate involved in this? I'm not even sure. I haven't heard. It's a Tmart scandal.
Or he fucked up.
Yeah, his damage control has been off target.
Terrible.
Yeah, and
he needed a PR guy. I could have been his PR guy. He would have said, "Hey Taylor, do you like this video?" And I would have said, "What are you high?" No, we're not.
It's like your friends would tell you, right? Like, are you being an idiot to remove the video, right? Like, if I would, even if I respond to like a hate tweet on Twitter, my friends are on it and they're like, remove it. Why are you starting drama with these guys and stuff? I was like, imagine me uploading an apology video or me fucking it all up. They would all tell me like, ignore it, right? Get some help, get people to help you out with this.
I was about to say, in his position, it's impossible to make a good apology video, right? No matter what you say, you're going to get, people are going to tear it apart and do whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's an exception. H3H3 made a video about Leafy. So Leafy was cyberbullying somebody. I think they were autistic or something like that. And
he didn't know.
Leafy made an apology video, and it was perfect. It was amazing. I was like, I should bookmark this for the next time I screw up, which happens every maybe 6 weeks for me. I should look at this as the answer key on how to do a perfect apology video. He nailed every note. He owned it. He's it couldn't have been more perfect. And shucks.
Well, he admitted all his mistakes. That's what he did, and he apologized and. That was it. Like he didn't try to defend himself. He didn't like go like, oh, I didn't know that. He wasn't like, he just basically was a man. He said, I'm so sorry, I fucked up. on many
owned
different
it.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You-
there you
Tmart-
go.
You gotta just admit fault and just be like, look, I'll be honest. I didn't think people would want
I
to
did
come
it
to
for
my
the money,
website.
right?
No, just be 100% honest. Here's what I say. I didn't think you guys would trust me if I told you I owned the website. I thought that you would think that I was doing something dishonest. And here, now that I hid it and you've discovered it, I look ultimately dishonest. So I don't know what to do. I've made this thing so much worse than I ever thought it could have been. I'm not doing anything dishonest behind the scenes. Everything's on the up and up, but now I look like an asshole, and I don't know where to go from here. That's what he should have said.
That's
right?
a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think his attorney would
better
approve.
than the video he made.
Yeah, but he was
And then he should say, "I'm sorry," and then cut it. No dogs. Should we?
Yeah,
should
the
we
dog
shoot their
thing,
video for him? Maybe.
I get that. Yeah, we should do that. Everyone's ripping on the dog thing. I think it was a
pretty bad.
mistake. Yeah, I think it was too transparent. Like I get what he was doing there, but
I'd have had my mom there. But his mom, not my mom.
Be
And I'm
like,
running
with a
company.
belt,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
About to whoop his ass,
the
and then just like with tears, like, oh.
nobody
And I'm
was
all
fooled by the dog
angry.
lover thing. You know,
Well,
and-
last night I was saying that what he should do is post a video of him going through. He should have a fan meet up and be like, everyone come here, pick L.A., New York, something like that. Get a couple hundred fans out and have them do a gauntlet that he has to run through, and that's his punishment. Let the children he defrauded beat him senseless with bags of nickels. And like as he runs between them, they're just slamming him with these things, and he makes it all the way to the end, and they just beat him senseless, and then he apologizes.
Justice.
But in the end,
Justice.
I want to lay this out. I feel like he was guilty of one or two
go on.
things. One, he didn't admit he owned it, right? And better yet, he acted like
He
he
didn't-
didn't own it, right?
Exactly.
There was
not even
actual
own it,
deception
but
there.
Being affiliated with it.
Right. He acted like he was a happy customer when he was indeed the owner. Guilty. The second thing is up to you. If you want to bet on it, there's just a checkbox that says you're 18. You know?
Yeah, like I think the second thing isn't the biggest issue, and that's also not what started this controversy. It was mainly the fact that he was saying like, hey, I stumbled upon this website, and then he was saying, hey, I bought myself into this website, and then people looked it up, and it's like, no, he owned it from the start. He was lying, right? And when you're lying on the
Really should have
internet,
hid that better.
people
It
prove
seems
Exactly.
it seems like you could hide that somehow, like maybe have a
I
trust
could
involved
hide it.
somewhere. Thank
Yeah.
you.
He did have a
that-
trust involved,
Even-
except the trust was called TmarTn Enterprise.
You know what my
Why not
trust
just
is
change
called?
the
No, don't
CEO's
tell
name?
No one does.
Same here, you know. Like it's the basic business stuff. You don't want everybody to know.
No
It's
one
like,
does. And it's so innocuous. It's not like FPS Productions. No, it's like Blue Rock.
I
Way.
just picked two things on your desk, right?
It's like
Nuts,
three random
phone,
words.
mic,
I go
right?
the other direction entirely. Mine's called Woodworth Enterprises, and there's nothing there that would ever haunt me. There's
It's not
there's
that
no
it's-
skeletons
it's not
in the
anything
closet.
Bad. It's that I don't. When you see it on paper, there's no reason you should know that's mine. It's there to conceal things. It's there to hide things. You
People
know,
are gonna
where
be
I
like,
did
could've
what
at
I
least
did.
What
had
the
his
fuck?
attorney, like,
He had
put a little
involvement in
accent.
Huppet all this time? Yeah, I did. Right? And I told you, and there's no surprise there. You know?
No way.
Yeah.
I used to be
Yeah,
on
he-
Huppet.
Between
So much
2009
money on
and
there.
2013, Woody's gamer tag made $8.76
Yeah.
on your watch.
Huppet did not make a lot of
Woody,
money.
This is the worst.
And then
In
I owned.
$2,009, that's almost $15. What the minimum wage?
Reinvested properly, that would be $22 in today's money. Can you
Unless
live
I
with
invested
yourself
it
in
into
with
Bitcoin.
America?
Yeah, no,
In
just
2009, Woody's gamer tag got a small loan of $8 from his constituents.
Yeah,
What
the-
he should have done, Trevor, at the very least, is have his, attorney or whoever is filing the LLC to just like put a little accent over the I in his last name. So at the very least, he could be like, "Oh no, that's Trevor Martin. He's my business manager. He handles all the."
all jokes aside, he should have said, "This is my site. It's the best one in the multiverse. You guys are gonna
There
love
you
it."
go.
And
yeah, that's-
there'd
And
be
I
no
like-
story
I do.
today.
Woody was saying, if it were my site, I would gamble with my customers, and every time I won, I'd be like, you know what? Take it. And just give them the winnings. Like
Advertising
so if you
expense.
Give
play
it
against-
to charity, right?
No,
as soon as you
don't
get
take
into
it from
it
your
to them.
customers, right?
Get it back
Oh
to-
yeah,
like,
yeah, fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
So they've won. As soon as they get in the lobby with you, they're like, cha-ching!
Yes!
Like,
Yes!
I already won. Now I can just enjoy my time with Woody, And hell, everybody's watching. This is going to be in a video. People would love that. But instead, Martin's like, here I come, motherfuckers. Mr. Badass. Got a bot back it. I never lose. Give me your money. And I'm not saying he did that. I'm saying that's how it looks. I don't believe he did that. I hope that he's not, using a bot to take another $200 out of your pocket when he's already doing very well for himself. And I never begrudge someone from doing well for themselves and becoming multi-millionaires, making $5, $10, $15 million, stuff like that. That doesn't bother me. I'm very happy for him. I saw his car and I was like, fuck yeah, I bet it goes fast. It's a GCR pussy. I love seeing that. But
by the way, there were 3 people. There were 3 entertainers that did this. Even we are just saying Tmart. Yeah, and
because he's the one we know better as well. We all know him better.
To me, it's because he's the owner, and because he went on that ledge of saying, I just stumbled on this website. I just discovered it. Hey, now I'm going to do this and that.
You do know Tmart. I'm sorry. Syndicate owned as much as Tmart did.
Yes, I know that.
But CEO, and in people's heads, that means more. So that's why I would think. And he's the only one making videos about it. Syndicate's shutting the fuck up and letting it roll over to Tmart's lake.
But they all fucked up at the end of the day, right?
So Tmart is not just the guy who owns it. He's the one who has access to the back end and stuff. Syndicate doesn't have that access. Syndicate is. I know that people like to be like, hey, this is Syndicate's third strike. Nobody wants to say anything because he's so beloved. And that's true to some regard. People really have a his shit don't stink thing about Syndicate, and I like Tom. I'm just saying, they don't want to throw any dirt on him, and it seems to be all on Tmartin. But I think it might be rightfully so in this situation. Like, hey, next time Syndicate steps in shit, hold him accountable, I suppose. But this time around, Tmartin's the CEO. He's the president, and he's the one in control of the back end of the website. So if there's anything nefarious going on there, which is the biggest thing to me, if there was anybody going in there and using a bot or something to tilt the wheel and make sure that Tmartin wins when he plays, not just in this one game, but let's get on a roll so that we can make a YouTube video that'll promote this website and make even more money flow in, and just it'll be a never-ending process here. If he did that, that is unforgivable. That's reprehensible. That's criminal. I don't think he did that.
I don't think he did it either. And by the way, Tmart's not technical. There's all this, people say he had his foot on the scale and all this. I don't think Tmart could find the scale at the Unix prompt. He's not a technical guy. He's never written. What?
There could be some sort of tool or something he can change a percentage, or he can just...
No, maybe it's not even him. Maybe he just hires somebody and he's like, yo, give me a 1% chance of winning this extra, right?
Give me 100% chance.
Yeah, but then again, it's like he has access to it, and then you can't play anymore. That's rule number 1. If you own the place, you don't play at the place, right? He's the house and he's a player. He wins regardless.
And the dealer.
And the dealer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got they've got their fingers in every part of the transaction, which, fine. I'm sure that's similar to how these other Counter-Strike lottery sites are, but I just don't get the incentive to lie about it from the beginning and try and be misleading. I don't know. But what Kyle was saying is perfect. He would have made more money because people would have been like, if I go on, CSGOLotto Extreme.com, there's a 0% chance the owner's going to end up in a game with me, and I'm going to just win by default. So I'm going to go to the one where that could happen.
They should go to CSGOLotto Woody, where they know if they find the owner, there's a 100% chance they're going to win. Right?
Exactly.
Even if I win,
you'll pull
here's your
so
shit.
many more people, right? So many more people will go and bet.
They'll all be wishing they were in a lobby with me, I guess.
It would have been way better marketing plan if that would have happened.
Which is,
plus he wouldn't have...
on Woodycraft, what I used to do, so we had these crates you gave out, and the crates even looked like a slot machine. You'd buy a crate, I forget how much they were, 3 for $5 or something. And when you open it, the thing pops, and it's sword, creeper egg, spawner, whatever, and you get your thing. I would go to live streamers and just give them away. And then the live streamer would be grateful, and he would be happy on my server. I hope he continues to stream there, right? That was a thought process. And then everyone who's watching the stream becomes aware of the existence of these things that we sell. Now, potentially I lose sales out of that. These are things that he maybe would have otherwise bought from me. advertising expense, not a problem. You know, people would stream even if they had like 18 people in their stream. I'd give them shit, and you know, maybe they'll be a bigger streamer someday and still like the thing. That's how you do it. Don't take from your people. Like, don't ever put yourself in a position to take from your customers like that.
To win off of them.
Yeah, to win off of them, right? Obviously, you make money off them. You know, I take money in exchange for goods, but...
Oh, can I say,
well,
you know,
I
didn't...
merch
you know,
and stuff, too.
The whole TmarTn thing did, you know, to be honest, I think about the same as I did before about Tmart. I don't think less of them, and I hope that people out there will hold their judgment until we know a little bit more. There's probably going to be a real judgment at some point, so just wait on that. But Wings Redemption's guilty as a motherfucker for saying my name for no goddamn reason when he talked about this thing. Fuck you, Wings. Fuck you.
What happened?
I missed this.
Such a jerk, Wings. Sitting there all dirty and disheveled, sitting there like, Woody and Wings, they're all pro-business, you know, pro-fucking people over. Fuck you. No, I'm not pro-fucking people over. I am pro-business because somebody's got to be making the money to pay your whatever money you're getting from the government to live right now. So fuck off, Wings. Shitty of you to say that. No reason to bring me up. I don't randomly bring you up, and I certainly could. So just stop.
Yeah. When it comes to customers, dude, win-win, man. If you do these win-win deals, then you get more customers later. You know, like
you get happy customers, right?
Repeat customers. That's the thing. By the way, we really got to do those fucking ringtones or whatever that is.
I'm the one out of the loop for the Wings thing, but Kyle, could you give like a rundown of what the video was, real quick?
He gave his opinion about the whole Tmart and Syndicate thing, and at the very beginning of it, for some reason, he's like, you know, Woody and Kyle are always, you know, pro-business, pro-fucking people over, and then he goes into how he's not or something like that, and it's just like, it's just this disjointed silliness, which is what you always get. He's just sitting there all dirty and unshaven and just like rambling off the top of his head. Now, off the top of his head in the dark, telling lies like he always does. Just at least stick to the truth. Jesus Christ.
We were very upset with our characterization in that video. And,
I would be too, because it sounds like...
It's not like I've got a lotto site, you know? There's no reason to even involve me. Like, if you're going to talk about somebody who stepped into some shit and did a bad thing, why are you going to drag me into it? I haven't said anything to you about business in a long time, except when I was telling you how much money I was going to get you to do that hot sauce, which now I'm not going to do. Now I'm not going to do it, because I don't want you to get that $100 or whatever.
So the hot sauce is off the table now because
I'll make
of that?
I'll make a Taylor's teriyaki long before I make Hot Wings Redemption.
Yeah. Yeah!
So now you know the reason there's no hot sauce.
It would actually be Taylor Sans teriyaki.
Yeah, I didn't like Wings doing that, and I felt like
I got all the hot sauce. I've got 200 bottles.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting on the labels are being done. Not anymore.
So
you should know that most of his audience also, I don't know his audience, but I think that most of Wings' audience likes you two, so it wouldn't make sense to even bring you up to like get the audience on his side or something, like mischaracterizing you as pro-business, therefore pro-fraud.
Wings just kind of rambles, and it's real incoherent a lot. So he probably didn't mean anything by it. He probably doesn't even remember it. But it's just like, think about what you say before you say it. There's no, you don't see me like starting any of these podcasts off with, you know, Wings Redemption's a fat lazy motherfucker, but I've been putting a lot of work in this week. Let me tell you about it. Like why would I do that? Why would I do that? Like
be a dick.
Just to be a dick. Just it was, you know, I was thinking about Kyle and Woody and how I don't like them very much, and you know, fuck them. Let me just begin with that.
He wants us to talk about him. Because maybe he just wants some promotion,
that
right?
implies a level of calculation that I don't think was there.
No, he did not calculate this.
I've never met him. I've met him once. Did I tell you guys?
You met him? How did you meet Wings of Redemption?
Because I used to be a fan of the show. Well,
did you drive to his house?
No. I met him as in he tweeted out that he was looking for people to play Call of Duty with, right? And I was like dedicated, you know. I was a good Call of Duty player, so I joined him in the session, and he just we got destroyed, right? The whole team lost, and he was just pissed off at everybody. And then he said, okay, I'm gonna block everybody on Xbox, so I never have to play with you again. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this guy used to be my hero, right? Got to play with my hero, and then he just fucked me over like that, and I was sad, and it was
Well, at
like,
least
fuck
you didn't
this
pay.
guy.
At least you didn't pay for that friends list spot or anything and then get removed.
Nah, like. But then again, now I'm here, right? With
that
5 million
experience
subs.
is not unique to you, Kwebbelkop.
Well, I know, because he blocked everybody, and I was like, this guy does it all the time, I bet. But
He blew up on Taylor one night in Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, I was blocked. Yeah.
Yeah, he, like that. And it was
No
one of those things
way.
where, like, we were all a little sore with Taylor for breaking the spawn trap and running into the building, but, like, you know, we didn't
it's
care
a
that
game,
much.
right?
We didn't care that much. It's like, all right, I didn't get my Harrier. All right, well, shit. Next game, you know? But for wings, it's like, you took a decimal point off my KD, motherfucker.
Not even a
I'm from
decimal
Conway,
point.
bitch. Get out of here. You know, he lost his shit. He was like, get out. Taylor, get out. He just lost his shit. Get out of here. And we're all just like,
I just couldn't fathom at the time, like, is he joking? Because this isn't a very big deal at all. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like, fuck, now I'm not going to get my chopper gunner and the whole game's gone to shit. It was more like, oh, man, I don't get my 6th Harrier. Darn. Because we were butt-fucking them. Like,
Yes.
it wasn't like if we lost a flag that suddenly chaos was amidst and, oh, retreat back, 2 clicks to the left, flag me, flag me. No, it was, hey, can you shoot that? Okay, they're back. They're back over there. Like, that was it. But
it was like our Company of Heroes games. It was just us herding them into the best little bubble that we could destroy, and Taylor squeezed the bubble too hard, and it broke in half, and Wings like got killed. Right, and it's not like, you know, he didn't get killed because like Taylor broke the map and a fireball fell on him. He got killed because somebody shot him. You know, somebody just spawned there instead of there, and they aimed at him and shot him with their gun, and he died. He lost his shit on you though. Yeah, he doesn't like that. All right, enough Wings Redemption talk though. Kweb, have you gotten into VR at all? I can't remember.
Yes, yeah, I have a Vive downstairs, and I
Ooh,
think
nice.
on the last time I was here, I talked about Oculus Rift porn. Let's just say it got a lot better.
Awesome. Well, then I'm glad. I want to talk to you about this. So I got a Vive.
Everybody's leaving. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. So I got a Vive. I built my PC last week and I got the Vive this week. I'm using a 980 Ti in it now until the 1080s are more readily available because they're just out of stock here, especially the ones with 2 HDMI ports, which is what I need. And so I'm really loving this. I got it today. I hooked it up today, and I spent the entire afternoon in VR. I played the Lightblade VR, which is like a lightsaber game.
Lightsabers, yes.
I like that a lot. I played, I'm reading them off my monitor. I played Tilt Brush, which is so like psychedelic and just ridiculous. You're painting in 3 dimensions.
Oh,
and it's glowing and stuff.
I've played that too, yes.
I got Hollow Point, which is a like bow and arrow or archery game.
I saw you play that on Twitter, maybe just by your hand motions.
And I got Space Pirate Trainer, which is the coolest game by far. You've got a gun in each hand, and you can reach back and grab a shield. And there are there are robots floating around shooting lasers at you. And I love it so
You have to
fucking
like
much.
block it and shoot.
Yeah. When they shoot at you, you can block it with your shield, and then you've got a gun to shoot back at them. And the gun's got 3 or 4 different fire modes that you activate with your thumb. I'm gonna play it in a little bit. I've got this set up now so that I've got the Vive set up here, or Vive set up here, and I've got my gaming PC set up hooked up to it, and that'll be able to call into the show, I think, and share its screen, so you'll be able to see like the display of what I'm seeing, and then on this camera you'll be able to see me like standing back there. So I think I'm gonna try that a little later.
So no porn yet?
No, I have not gotten into the porn yet. I did go ahead and buy a membership for like naughtyamerica.com or something like that.
Well, that's probably the best one out there. You know, inside sources have told me about that. I mean, like, I didn't do the research. But I could send you something, which is a collection of free... let's just say a lot of free stuff, but you can experience the experience. Really easy to set up.
Yeah.
I'll just drop the file in here. It's only 80 megabytes. It streams it off all the websites.
How
that way you can okay.
But is it comfortable to wear for a long? Like, because it looks a little heavyish to me.
It's not heavy at all. It's very light. The controllers are very light too. I wore it all day with a headset, and by all day I mean I got up at 11 a.m. because they were knocking on the door. Got my Vive, took a shower, hooked it up, started playing. And the reason I was late to PKA is because I was like taking it apart and setting it up in this room for the show. I played all day. All day I was in there. I got a little nauseous on the roller coaster game, but it's like 3D. It's a picture for each eye, and it is very.
And it does that thing that everyone says makes you nauseous. That like what's happened, the movement in the thing isn't matching your movement in real life, and that's the trick.
Oh, it is with the Vive though, because you can go left, right, you can go anywhere. You can even walk around the room.
But the roller coaster in particular.
Oh, the roller coaster. Okay.
Did you tell him how you were doing the roller coaster, sitting?
Yeah, I got in Kitty's wheelchair, and I'm sitting there, like watching, and she's behind me, shaking the wheelchair, and I was like, ah!
Dude, I would love to come down to your house and basically take turns sitting in there with the, like in the driveway with that headset on, and we just push each other down as fast as we can. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Now I really want one of those, and I texted you earlier being like, so those things are like $3,000, $4,000. That's like wanting to make sure that it was something I wasn't gonna buy, and then he's like, no, it's like $800. You know, you can make it run pretty well with a $1,500 computer or whatever. And suddenly it's like, well, shit. I mean, I can't not be with the times. I can't be behind.
The new 1060, or it's either the 1060 or the 1070 GPU, is already more powerful than the 1080 reference card for $300.
No, then the 980.
Then the 980. Thank you. Yeah.
And it's a 1060.
1060.
And it's like $300. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then you got the RX 480 for $250. You know, you could crossfire those and have a ridiculous VR machine. So yeah, I'm pretty confident you could build a VR machine for less than $2,000 with peripherals and get the Vive for another 800 plus tax. And man, it's so cool. I'll turn it on here in a bit, but I was in there all day just loving it, and just I got the biggest smile on my face the whole time. Kitty walks through and it'll like poke me in the stomach or something, and I'm just like, it scares the fuck out of me because I'm
you're in a different world.
I'm in a different world entirely, and I'm hitting stuff and like dodging, and every now and then I'll punch the wall, and I'm just like, God, that's not there.
Do you not have it like set up like properly?
What game like ruined the living room simulator?
yeah. Well, I had it set up really close to the wall.
Okay.
I had not too much room to play with, as far as like the boundaries and stuff. I wanted as much like usable space as possible, so I held the controller next to the walls when I spaced out the room. But it was definitely worth all the money. It was definitely, and like yesterday, I was blown away playing Witcher in 4K. With this system, I love that. I'm playing Witcher in 4K with all the settings maxed out and like 40 plus frames per second, and that's just incredibly beautiful, incredibly immersive. I'm loving that game. I'm like uploading screenshots and stuff.
Yeah, that's not VR, right? That's no. Okay, I didn't.
Something about VR, like I'll probably eat these words. I haven't even experienced it, but it's like watching TV and playing video games is totally doing nothing. And somehow VR is even more nothing than the other. Like now you're literally just not getting past your sunglasses.
It's like if you're up and moving around,
dancing around the room. I'm punching and swinging and slapping.
I think of it a different order. I think of like TV, like sitting there and just absorbing is probably the lowest, and then you have video games where at least like depending on the Candy Crush, you're not really thinking too hard. But if you're playing a strategy game or even Call of Duty or something, you're engaged. You're with it. You're doing something. And then VR, unless it's the kind, like I wasn't picturing people doing what Kyle's doing, like standing up and like jazzercising about the home as they're playing video games. But if that's really what it is, then that's actually
you make a strong argument, and I think that's a fair way to stack rank them. The way I was doing it though was like the size of your world, right? Like if you can picture my TV, right? It's like a projector thing on the other side of the room. My world is whatever. I don't know how big that room is. 100 square feet. I'm not sure. More than that. If I play a video game, I exist in these 10 square feet, and if I play on a Vive, I exist in like 6 inches.
In your entire imagination.
right. So I think both of them are like an appropriate way to like the size of your world. During TV, computer, PC, or PC gaming, and then Vive gaming. But I can see the other way too, yeah, because TV is definitely the least engaging Especially
Yeah.
whenever my wife watches something, she picks something she's already seen so that she can multitask and such. So Friends is on way too flipping much in my house.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
I hate Friends.
dude, and I've seen all the shows. So like, there's no episode of Friends that I pay attention to. It's just turned off.
To be fair, I've probably watched like maybe 6 episodes of Friends ever, but at no point during any of them did I laugh or even like titter or like be like, oh, clever them. Like I got more laughs out of 30 seconds of Seinfeld than any of that. But that's what I always thought of it as. It's like a shitty Seinfeld that tried to be more mainstream without as funny, risky characters. But
That
I don't know.
yeah. Although I will
what it
say,
is.
the actors were very risky. A lot of drug addiction, stuff like that. But the characters, not so much.
No, no. I mean, the actors in Seinfeld are pretty risky, right? Maybe not Jerry, but Kramer. Yelling
yeah,
the
yeah.
N-word at black people in a comedy club. You know, not a
Yes.
good risk, but a risk. You know, that's something. It's definitely a career risk. I haven't heard of that fucking dude since then. Not like I had prior to that either. So that's
It's
not
a
fair.
career risk just to support him. But I feel like his motives weren't racism. And people who know him say that too. He was just trying to hurt the guy who was heckling him. And I don't know,
I mean,
somehow
I
that's
think that
different
too.
to me.
Like, I don't think it was racially motivated. Like, I don't think if that was a group of, I don't know, Asian people or white people heckling him or what he perceived to be heckling, that he would have just ignored it. You know, he would have went for whatever he thought was the most hurtful to that person that was fucking with him, and that's what he did.
If I
It was
somehow
it was more
attack your
hand-
beard and call you a Robinson Crusoe or whatever it is you call bearded people, it doesn't mean I hate bearded people. I was just trying to hurt Taylor's feelings. And
Well, there's a storied history of bearded people being oppressed, you know, receiving less treatment under the law. You
right,
know? So
yeah.
you understand why beard folk, such as myself, take a little bit of offense.
Yeah, there were the Robinson Crusoe laws that prevented you from doing various things. Separate but equal, right? You know, kids who hit puberty would be in different schools. Not fair, not fair.
Not fair. But yeah, that's such an old story, and I know we've talked about it before, but it definitely racist what he did. But yeah, his motivation wasn't racism. His motivation was being arrogant, thinking that he could just go up there and do stand-up comedy as a guy who had only been funny as an actor, doing scripted shit in context. So I think going up there and seeing like, oh shit, this isn't going well. Reality is hitting me really hard. I am not as talented as I thought I was. This isn't coming naturally.
And part of the stress that comes from it is how much you care about it, right? Like I remember people having a bad video game, right? You know, this session's not going well for me. I'm not getting any gameplay. To other people, it's like, dude, it's just a game. Flipping chill, right? But if you're a YouTuber who, it's not so much important how good you are as it used to be. But like, to you, like, it's not just a game. Like, this is my career. This is my, people are looking at my stats all the time. I get so much hate. A lot of people in this lobby know me and they think less of me for what's just happened. Like, it matters more. To Kramer, like, this was his next thing. This was a thing that he had a lot of, like, invested in. It was part of his sense of self-worth. And flopping for him, if I flopped at comedy, it would be a very embarrassing 3 minutes, and then I'd move on, knowing that I wasn't good beforehand and confirming it. But to Kramer, you know, that was his everything, so it's not so easy to fail.
Yeah.
Kyle, are you chomping at the bit to show us something cool?
Yeah, you want to see this thing?
I absolutely do.
All right, so
right.
call here.
So how is this going to work?
He's going to have two
gonna see.
screens, and the other one's camera is going to be the VR. And for those of you watching this, give me a moment to, like, set up the
Line
screen
it up.
share. Yeah.
Else everybody's gonna get mad.
All right. So
No pressure, Woody. No pressure.
it changed
So is
on
this-
me and put, like, Kyle's not even.
Oh.
Did Kyle leave?
Oh, no, is
No,
he screen
I'm here.
sharing? Oh, you're screen sharing.
Oh,
Wait.
he's screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kyle, what's funny is I don't have Kyle's video. Do we want that, Kyle?
Do you?
I'm
that's-
fine not seeing him for a few minutes to
Well,
see
hang
what's
on.
going on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. So I can
Yeah.
hear you and I can see
All
your
right, well, let me-
desktop. Oh, now I see
Okay.
you.
Yeah, you should be able to see me and the desktop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can.
Okay, let me turn the VR game on.
Make sure you play in windowed, by the way. 'Cause it's not gonna show it, I think.
I think it will. Let's see. Let me pick a game. I'm gonna play.
I think it boots it in windowed anyways. Light Blade VR.
I don't want to play Light Blade. I want to play Space Pirate Trainer. That's the cool one.
Just in
Space
case something
Pilot.
silly happens. All right.
The moment of truth.
Yeah, let's see. I'm excited. Maybe this will convince me not to buy one. I could go either way.
No. But,
Yeah.
Like, you should experience it and you're sold.
Unlike a CSGO gambling site, it could go either way.
By the way, this is not sponsored by HTC Vive. Right? Just making sure everybody
Should
knows.
mention that.
Yeah. But if you are interested, go to merca.vive.biz, check it out. Use coupon code, not a sponsorship.
Okay,
And now
can you
it's-
see the...
So I have your screen, and I have... Oh. Yeah, I don't get to control who's at the bottom. I need to sort of... Did you guys still have the screen share?
Yeah, but I only see the top
Oh,
half.
I've got it now.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, I currently have what I want. Ooh, I think I could do this better.
Can you see this?
Yes.
I can. Can you hang in there for just a minute? I think I can make this better for my subs.
It's kind of
So you'll have to talk a little bit loud so I can hear you, but if I listen carefully, I can't hear you.
Okay, we'll speak louder. Can you spin around just so we can get a landscape view? Can you jump or like dip a little bit so we can see the height difference? Clap your hands. I want to see what happens to the guns. Okay, excellent.
Oh, no, not immersive enough.
No, I'm not feeling immersed.
I rate it 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Needs improvement. You know. This is really neat though. Like, even though it's like a little laggy for me, this is cool.
Well,
So
I
what
think
are you?
The lag is off Skype though.
What did you just do
like, it's really smooth.
to start the game, Kyle? Like it's going.
Yeah, he like pointed the gun at it and shot at it and then it started.
Yeah,
So
it
he has a
said on
shield
or
and a
off.
gun now.
It's got a shield.
Oh,
basically-
two guns. Jesus.
2 guns. If you're listening in the car, we're watching Kyle play a video game. He's playing Martian Madness or something. And
Looks to be like Star Wars with guns and lasers and shields.
this is nitpicky, but I don't like how there's no hand on the gun. You know, it's just a
Nah,
floating
that
gun.
would be too confusing. And then it would be, people would get mad at it for being a guy or a girl again, too. Like, the guy's white, right?
I think that's usually like the same 4 people who get mad about that stuff and just have a lot of email accounts. Like, and they just really just hound people. I can't, because I've never met a girl who plays video games who was really like, I need a female character. Like, I can't have fun otherwise. Just like, if you like Optimus Prime or whatever, not Optimus Prime, but the Samus game, you don't give a fuck it's a girl. Like,
I didn't even know it was a girl.
it is.
Until,
Yeah,
like,
because
well,
it doesn't
I know
matter.
now, of course, but when I was playing it back in the day, I had no idea.
Well,
right?
when I was playing it back in the day, I thought it was a robot.
Yeah, like,
So could you see all that?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I saw everything, yeah.
That's a really
That
neat,
is so
you've been
much
doing
fun.
that all day.
Space pirate train.
More or less. Let me close that one.
So is that your favorite game thus far, Space Pirate Trainer?
It's one of my favorites. I've gotten really far in that one. This light blade thing is pretty fucking cool too, though.
And what is this one? Quick little.
The Star Wars.
This is Star Wars.
The lights.
Is it like a Star Wars ripoff, which is why they have to call it Light Blade?
Uh huh.
Really?
Yeah, I was sure that I knew the answer was going to be that.
It's a photon scimitar. All right. So what's happening here? It just
He's
looks
about
like
to
you're
grab the lightsabers.
to
Oh,
grab.
there, yeah, he just pulled one out of his butthole. There you go. That's where I
Still
hide
no
mine.
hands.
I was thinking
Still
I
no
want
hands.
hands too. It can be gloved if we have issues with race.
Yeah, good one. But then again, right?
Just
I-
a little.
White gloves, back black gloves. Don't know. Man.
Make it an alien hand. I don't even care. I just want some
There
sort of
you go.
Yeah,
you know?
I pictured
Or
like
a
almost
robot
like a suit of armor hand, although that doesn't make much sense in the context of a Jedi. But yeah, I'm all fine with that. Ooh, look at Kyle.
I mean, ideally, someday it would look like your hand. You could like scan your hand in or something.
We just got hit.
But there could be a character
that-
creator, like lots of games.
Ooh. So Kyle's deflecting. Now, all of your steps look very pained and lumbering in the game, not you personally.
I wonder how that's working in real life, because I feel like
because it
know,
doesn't.
obviously
it
you
doesn't
can't.
hit it, you know?
Yeah, like you think, oh, VR, the number one thing is going to be sword fighting, but the fact that our swords can't touch each other, like, it really changes the way that sword fights work.
Yeah, it does. It because you just swing past each other.
Yes,
But-
exactly, right through each other. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't even know how the game would react to that. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I can't tell how much. Like, is this pretty close on that you actually have to block that bullet, or is it kind of like
so.
the Star Wars game currently on the Xbox not VR but motion detecting thing, where you kind of just go like this and everything's fine, like nothing's
You
gonna
can just
kill you.
hold it like that, like this, right? And then he'll just beat the game.
I like the easy, like, martial arts games where you just mash buttons in your character, like Assassin's Creed, right? I don't even know how to fight people in Assassin's Creed, but I'm amazing at it. My KD is like 1,000 to 1. You know, like,
Wings would be proud.
like, you can't die. You can go into entire crowds and like 150 people attack you. They even have guns, and you just seem to beat them all somehow.
What are we talking about? Lightsabers?
We drifted from that to Assassin's Creed, like then they don't accurately resemble combat.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed combat it was really fun to play the first time through in Assassin's Creed 1, where you're kind of like, oh, I'm jumping over here and I slice you. Oh, and now I spin around and I slice you in the back. Oh, now I spin around to the side and put my cloak up and I'm hidden. And I really got tired of that, because once you figure out how to do okay with that kind of style of combat, it's like 2 buttons you need for the entire game to just bounce around people like a pinball willy-nilly and be fine. But I don't think that game's super popular anymore.
I didn't get into Assassin's Creed till like the 3rd one or something, but I think the one before Pirates, like the American Revolution one. And like, I totally didn't understand the significance of major events and stuff like that. They're like, don't you understand? They just revealed the Brotherhood. As a matter of fact, I don't. I have no idea why that's a big deal.
Like you were in The Return of the King, and you're like, someone's got to catch me up on this Sauron guy, and maybe he's not 100% in the wrong. I don't know. Don't nail me to the wall. I'm just saying, we have all the facts haven't come out yet on this Sauron guy. You know, not all Saurons. Anyway, so what are we looking at now, Kyle?
So this game is called Tilt Brush. I think I don't know if it was made by Google, but Google definitely bought it at some point. And it's a 3-dimensional painting game, which sounds a little lame at first until you see it in practice. Check this out.
By the way, this show is not sponsored by Tilt Brush.
Yeah, we should just call out all the time. Not sponsored by these guys.
Just making sure, you know.
There are a few
like
sponsors.
I'm associated with this episode. I do not want to be associated with any. Okay.
I think it would be
this show
great.
is not sponsored by Pepsi Max, the only 0-calorie cola with maximum taste. Once again, not sponsored.
We
need
also
an
do not own Pepsi. I swear.
We need an expose video, and for some odd reason, Kwebbelkop takes it totally on the chin, and no one mentions any of us. Like, can you believe Kweb took all that tilt brush money and?
Yeah. We just need to make him the CEO.
Yeah.
I made $2 of it.
Didn't Woody have equal ownership? Shut up.
Yeah. You know what I want to be? I want to be the JoshOG of this company, who nobody remembers or knows if shit goes awry. You know?
Like we'll
What is he
make
writing?
it a term. Like he's so JoshOG that one, right?
Did you
Where he
guys
just
get those words?
Rob everybody.
RSK, okay.
That's pretty.
It's going to
can't
be
see what you're
RSK
doing.
for life.
You should do one of those ridiculous draw my life videos in this, where it's like, I started out in a elementary school where I was bullied, and it's just a terrible picture of you, like somebody kind of pointing at you, but it's a stupid stick figure.
I would love that. Dude, I keep wanting to do a Draw My Life.
Epilepsy has made this video very difficult to produce.
But the standard for Draw My Lives are so high, I can't even come close. I can hardly write my name in print, let alone draw my life.
All those Draw Your Life videos, I've never seen one that wasn't, hi, I've got 90 seconds of content, but I need to make an 8-minute video. So you're going to watch me write things out that I said 40 seconds ago.
I see it the other way. Most of the Draw My Lives are like, oh, you might not know this.
Cool. This is a real neat.
This is looking cool. But I was routinely raped as a child, and my parents, you know, were awful, and my uncle was a prisoner, and I spent most of my young time in juvie, and it's just like, oh man, my Draw My Life, like you know, Beverly Drive.
I got bullied
Yeah.
once. And and then I started YouTube. Yeah, that's my life.
Yeah.
Just started YouTube. They tell me I am going to be bullying you, and I say, please do not to bully. And they give me cookie. I take it. Before you know it, being bullied constantly. I don't know why your voice is so funny to me more than anything else.
I get bullied all the time. Went on PKA once.
That would be a good scene in your Draw My Life.
My life is so hard right now, guys. You don't understand.
I totally want to see you do like it. Yeah, I came on painkiller already. Since then, I've been bullied about a weed cookie ever since.
This was sponsored by PKA. Link is in the description. I do not own PKA. I swear.
So what is he?
This is a real neat 3D kind of. This is almost more like sculpting than it is drawing in a way, because you can move around.
It's like drug simulator. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
This is really cool.
Oh, look at that.
This is like, I was expecting this to be really stupid and silly, but I could see having fun in this.
I could see enjoying it the first day.
It's one of those things where it's like, when I got my first laptop or my first computer, and Solitaire was on there, or like Minesweeper, I was like, they have games? Holy shit. Like, I can be sitting here, and they won't even know that I'm at the library fucking off with Minesweeper. But that's kind of like what this is. Like,
by
this is just
2018 standards, this is going to be horrible and dumb.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Like, look at the menu. You can already tell, just by watching Kyle do this, this looks really difficult and obnoxious.
I don't know what paradigms are going to take off, and... Yeah, it's...
I don't know. But,
it's very easy to use, though.
Yeah, I don't know why you say the menu's obnoxious, because Kyle seems to be tearing it up.
Yeah.
And I know he just got it today, so...
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe Kyle's very intuitive, though. All right, Kyle, that's enough.
He can't hear us, right? I've had plenty of this.
He must have heard us, because now there's just chaos going around and moving.
Darkness.
So yeah, I'm really digging the VR thing. You could probably hang up on my VR guy now.
All right.
That's an awesome tool, game system, whatever.
Well, that's not helping.
Yeah, it does everything too. So you can watch. I can hang up on you. Yeah.
That would be good.
If that's helpful.
You'd think I'd know Skype better.
No.
Click the red button. There you go.
I got a couple of different screens open here. There's a laptop here, and then there's a big like curved monitor behind that, and then there's a lot of shit going on behind that camera. But yeah, I really dig that thing. The porn is gonna be cool. Looking forward to the porn.
I hooked you up.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Just click the file and just run it, and then it does it for you. You're in there. Just select your movies and enjoy.
That's what you linked to him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a... No, let me finish this up. I just... So right now, it's so rudimentary with a lot of the games. They're just... I don't know. New games are coming out every day. But next year, you got full support for Fallout. I think that's going to be insane. And I'm gonna. I can't tell you how much fun it is and how happy I am with my purchase. You know,
do you play every game standing up? Like, so you did it in a demo, but is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
you expect to play all of Fallout on your feet?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
Okay.
All of the Fallout that I play of it, and it depends. It's probably going to use a teleport aspect to like point and click to move around. So, but it feels better to be on your feet. It doesn't matter if you think on your feet that you're like walking a lot and going somewhere, but it's more about leaning and looking and ducking and dodging. In that last game, when those laser beams come, I can dodge those and like watch them go past me Matrix style, and I think that's going to be really fun in that game.
What is it called when you peek out from a corner, behind a wall? There's a term for that. Not leaning. I know, like not cutting the pie. That's what Wings called it. Anyway, when you duck in and out of a cover.
Cutting the pie?
Yeah, he had
What are we... You're just talking about the word for leaning outside of cover and shooting at people?
But I think there's a term for it. Probably everyone in the comments knows it.
Concealed?
No, there's a term for ducking in and out of cover, and I can't remember it. But I wonder how that will work in VR. You know,
I would say it worked very well. It's mostly it's tracking your head. You know, it knows where your head is. So that's what it knows. I think it's assuming your body is beneath it. But other than that, I think it would work really good.
I don't think there's a lean in Fallout. Is there? I don't know Fallout that well. So your whole body just shifts so that you can see the guy to not see the guy, right? That's like a thing in Fallout that you do a lot. At least I think. Yeah. So how would you do that? Is there like a joystick on the controller that moves you?
You would, if there was any leaning to be done, you'd just lean.
It's not leaning, it's strafing, right?
Well, that too.
Oh, you do that by moving your body?
Oh yeah.
Huh. Do short people have?
Like the reason I'm walking around is because I'm moving in space. Like I can, however big my space is. That's. Oh, you couldn't see me through this camera?
You know, technically we could, but what happened is it took everyone. You, Merca, and Kweb made you share a position, and whoever talked most recently was there, so it wasn't you.
Okay, well, yeah. So it's tracking the motion of my head in a 3-dimensional space. So if I duck in the game. If I walk over there, I walk over there in the game. And so like that game where the orbs are flying around shooting lasers at me and I've got a shield and a gun, I can dodge and strafe and run around. I move around a lot. The moving around is the most fun part because you can, like some of the menus in that lightsaber game, you have to walk to the back of the room, the virtual room, and that's how you change the hilt and that's how you change the color of the lightsaber blade. So yeah, moving around and stuff like that is mastered. It's so intuitive and it's so good and accurate. It's very, very good. I'm real happy with my purchase, and I can't wait for the first generation of AAA titles for the thing, because right now
and Triple X.
And, yeah, AAA and the Triple X. Yeah, I was telling him I got a Naughty America account for 4K porn because you cannot just go out.
Oh, you do? I don't. Definitely not.
I might have some account information that I could share with you. It sounds like you already have one, so you don't need any help at all. But yeah, the Naughty America account with the 4K porn is outstanding. I've been watching on my 4K monitor with this setup.
Is it too real?
No, and anyone who says that's a faggot.
Nothing wrong with that. Just putting a disclaimer out there too.
Yeah, and I don't mean a homosexual. I mean a piece of shit asshole. The kind of like a South Park faggot. The guys who are riding their motorcycles too loud and stuff and just being annoying. You're that kind of faggot. Like if you're like, oh no, that pussy looks too real. It's like, good.
That's what it's supposed to look like.
Good.
But
I can see all the hairs and shit.
Yeah. Now it will make you. It will make you raise your standards for porn stars. I found myself very quickly, like when I found a porn star I liked, I was like, let's stick with her because she doesn't have razor burn, she doesn't have cellulite, she doesn't have like an
stuff, under the fake tits, right?
Yeah, you can't see the stitch marks and stuff.
The scars, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see all that in 4K if it's not an attractive lady.
For HD, there was a big thing about that. Like when porn stars first got HD, they started hitting the gym. They're like, they can see every flaw in us. And now step 2.
Oh, it's you definitely can't.
If you go back and you look at like porn from 1941, you would think that people just were 80% uglier across the board back then, because it's like, what is this unattractive mustachioed man doing with this, quite frankly, rotund woman in this weird shack. Oh, the thing about HD and 4K is not just the people and the bumps or whatever, it's the surroundings as well. To where now it's, oh, I was thinking these were like real nice mansions that they fucked in. There's a stain.
That is a modular
blood,
home.
right there on the carpet. The repair guy, the actual repair guy's right there in the kitchen fixing the sink. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't like that part. It takes you out of the fantasy.
So what you do have to do is be more selective with your porn stars. When I find a guy that I like and a girl that I like, I try to stick to them, because some of the dudes look so gross in 4K. Like I don't want to watch that guy fuck. And
Who
some
are
of the
your
girls.
top 20 male porn stars?
So I like Faye Reagan. I'm going to female. I'm just ignoring your question. So Faye Reagan is one of my favorite female porn stars. I can't really draw up any other names off the top of my head, but there was this brunette who had kind of a bunny face, kind of like chubby cheeks, and that was really fucking hot. She wasn't fat at all. She just had big cheeks. I can't think of her name, but like, if you find a dude who's poorly shaven or something like that, he'll have like razor burn, and you can see it, and it looks gross. So it's definitely raised my standards for porn, but it's better porn, and you can watch it through the VR system. So I've got a whole Twitter. Go ahead.
You gotta get the VR porn tab on the website.
Yeah.
And then you need to do that, and then figure out all the settings and stuff, and it's like the real deal.
Yeah, you've got to line your cock up with them. Use the virtual desktop app. Use the virtual desktop app, and you got to line your cock up with his cock so that you can look down and she's blowing you, and then you put the auto blow on and dial it in. Just
there you
so.
go. There
Just
you go.
so.
Ying, 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 ying. It's like I'm there.
And I got the sound too, so I imagine that I will never need a girlfriend again. Like, what's the fucking point? This is my girlfriend. This fucking NZXT gaming PC right here.
You make a lot of strong points.
I wonder who's cheaper.
Yeah,
in the long run, the computer definitely is. The computer, I don't know what I've got in it yet. It's still not over yet. I haven't put the graphics card in, so I don't know. It's going to be probably $3,000 or something like that. And then I got those monitors. Those monitors were expensive, but I'm real happy with what I did here. This is I was texting my dad then, calling him. I'm like, you got to get over here and try this. So he's coming over. I told him how to do the show tonight, but he's coming over tomorrow.
You gonna help him line his cock up with the virtual desktop application?
I'd like to figure that out. Were you joking about that, or is that something that you actually do? Is you sit there with your headset on, and they're like, "All right, position your penis here," and it's like a moving, penis-shaped thing?
They don't, but the perverted men of the internet have already figured this thing out. See, I've been doing my research for a few days leading up to getting this thing. I wanted to know what games to play. I wanted to know if there are any movies that are worth watching in the headset. Turns out there's really not. I got a 4K screen. That's what you want to watch it on. And I want to know about the pornography. And the thing about the pornography is it's not a higher resolution. The resolution on this headset is like 2K, and it's like right here. So you're better off with just about any other kind of monitor to watch something. It's the interactive nature and the ability to like look down and see it happening.
And it's 3D too, And the headset, if you put your headset on, it's like that uses weird surround sound stuff.
Yep.
So it gets really immersive. Not that I know, of course.
What's your favorite kind to watch of the VR? Like, it sounds like it's pretty much all beach related, from what I can tell. Maybe that's because it's the easiest to do, because you're more stationary?
That's the most effective to do, because, like, you can look down and see someone sucking a dick that's in your lap, and that's an easy POV to achieve with a camera and an easy way to do it. But there's lots of them, so you can watch two girls go at it. It can be like a three-way scenario. I think there's one where you're a girl and another girl is going down on your vagina, and you can look down and see that.
My favorite ones is where the guy goes and fucks me,
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. Like this is no joke.
I'm curious, I gotta learn these things. I want to know how it feels like to be a girl, and there's just a guy pounding you.
That's what I'm gonna do, more or less.
You need an auto blow dildo for your ass.
I bought the American Challenge. I don't know if you guys know what it is.
No. We should.
Should I grab it? It's downstairs.
Obviously.
Yes, grab the American Challenge.
I could just run downstairs.
Okay. Whatever that is, I want to see it. what I'm going to do to a girl, though, is I'm going to put the VR headset on her, and it's going to look like a girl is going down on her, but it's going to be me going down on her.
That'll be almost as hot as just you going down on her.
No, it's just, I'm adding technology to the sex. It's going to be great.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Melissa wear it if she's blowing me, but instead of her seeing porn, it's going to be like she's in a Williams-Sonoma. And so she's in her happy place, and I'm not. So everyone's enjoying it. Like, she may have a dick in her mouth, but she's like, "Oh my god, look at this sale on cutting boards! I had no idea." Like, this. Oh yeah, this is a great ladle. I should look at this online afterward.
And then with the virtual desktop, that's hilarious. With the virtual desktop, I like today, you guys we were all Skyping back and forth and setting up the times for the show and figuring stuff out. But I was in VR the whole time, so I would hear Skype go off. And let me grab a controller. I would hear Skype go off, and I would just push this button and point it somewhere, and all of a sudden my desktop appears there, and I can interact with my desktop and like open it up, and I can type with this, and I can open things.
The VR handheld?
Yeah, this is one of the controllers.
That's really cool looking. Looks futuristic with that hole in the front.
And I don't know if that's ever gonna.
It doesn't work, but I still know more than I did before. Like what the inside of it looks like.
Yeah, and then there's for augmented reality stuff, there is a camera right here, and so sometimes there will be an overlay over the room that is there, and you can interact with it. So all of a sudden, I don't know.
Do you guys like it?
Obviously.
Oh my god. Jesus.
How big is it? Because there's like a forced perspective. Oh my god. What was that, like $70?
Yeah, something like that. It's for a video, though. Totally.
That thing
it is, but
heavy.
It's called the American Challenge.
Yes, that's typical for us Americans.
Right?
About right.
Well, I put it next to mine, and it looks pretty, like, small compared to it. So could be the perspective, but that's it.
Oh,
so, and what is the challenge? To like swallow that whole thing, or what are you talking about?
No.
Go ahead, try it.
No, you probably can't put that on.
Bigger than the microphone.
Yeah.
By the way, for the
there it is.
Kweb has a huge dildo with balls on it, and you're probably thinking I'm making this up right now to be silly.
It's as big as my arm.
He literally has a huge purplish red dildo that's as long and bigger around than his arm. It's bigger than his microphone. It's maybe the biggest thing he owns. It's absurd.
He couldn't fit it in his mouth, and that
death.
clip will definitely be in all the Kwebbelkop exposed videos.
I know,
If
right?
you got in a fight with someone on the street and you had that and used it, it would be a felony instead of a misdemeanor.
It hits hard.
And a sex crime.
Dangerous.
Yes. And a
At the
hate
same
crime.
time.
Oh man.
So how did you use it in a video?
So I'm making a parody on like loads of YouTubers. We're doing like copying YouTubers. So one of the guys we're copying is PewDiePie, and you know how he got sent out of his home because he was making gay sex noises or something. Well, we're gonna reenact that bit, and then like we're gonna fight each other with a dildo and shit. We're like a naked suit with a dick on it, and we're just gonna start hitting each other with a dildo. And we were like, we're not gonna get a small one. We're just gonna go straight up for the fucking American challenge.
Can I say you made a bit of an error though? So the toy that you wanted, so they make these dildos that have a handle and like a sword. They're made like a sword. There's a handle that's with a grip. And then there's a, what do you call that thing between your hand and the blade?
Like the pommel?
No, the pommel's the bottom because you would pummel somebody with it, I
little
guess.
guard thing.
Is it the scabbard?
No,
that's
the
that's
like
what you
the
put it
sheath.
in.
Let me ask Hope. She'll know that.
Yeah, she will know it. But let's call it the hand guard for now. It's got a hand guard, so that, and then it's just a dildo. And the whole thing is about this big, and it's. What you got there is badass, but what I'm talking about is made for what you're like a sword fight, a dildo sword fight, or for just fucking the shit out of somebody, whichever.
It's called a hilt.
Hilt.
I like this one. No, it's not the hilt, is it?
Yeah, that's
the
what
hilt's
they say.
the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The motion tracking on these are so good that when I'm in VR with the headset on, I can throw these up into the air and catch them. So like it's relaying to the headset where these are mid-air, and I'm still able to like grab them in mid-air. It's the tracking is the most impressive thing. It knows where these are. It knows where the headset is at all times, like exactly where they are.
I'm sure the timing's
That's
off,
awesome.
but it's called a bell guard.
It's called a hilt. I looked it up.
Okay, I'm gonna close my
I
door.
was like, is it called anything else? And she says, I've never heard it called anything else. So that's,
Well, it would depend on the sword because she uses fencing swords,
right,
sabers,
right. That's
and
why
foils.
I thought, because bell guard sounds like the thing.
That makes sense for fencing because
Yeah,
it looks
she's-
bell-ish.
Yeah. The one on her sword would be referred to as a bell guard because she's using a foil or a saber or whatever one she
You
does.
should let her know that
did.
it was originally called a bell end, so she should call it that.
Yes, that's true.
So it's called
I like how the dildo you bought
Aquilian,
was.
I think. I don't know.
I like how the dildo you got was not like if you had got one of those like that's totally straight, like it's made of wood or something. Like it wouldn't have been as funny. The funny ones are the ones that flop around a bit and they
Jiggle.
hang. Yeah, they hang like a dick that like you had sex 5 minutes ago. You know, and so you're still not back to action mode where you can
It's
keep
it's
going
a
with
semi,
life.
right?
Yeah,
It's
it's a
a semi.
semi.
That's what it's called.
pretty much
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like
Your English
the
is
shit
very
just
good.
Went down.
Although-
Your English is phenomenal.
Although I think if
Oh
you got
yes,
one
it
that
is.
big,
Yes, thank you. Weed. Yes, cookies. Yes.
I think it would take a lot of blood to get that thing just rock hard, though. I mean,
It would.
If you
It's
got
like 2
that thing to
pints.
this point, you're already down at least a
I'm
pint,
browning
right?
out.
You're like grabbing the base of that thing and squeezing it, because if you let go, it'll all shoot back into you too fast, and your capillaries and your eyes explode.
That's the one guy who was writing the blog of, I think it's good they're getting nudity out of Game of Thrones. It's a real feminist thing that they should do, and, the last thing I need is browning out during another Tyrion scene. Because I got caught up in Daenerys, and then suddenly, boom, I'm somewhere interesting, and I can't see. Like,
Dude, do
Anyway.
you guys followed UFC 200 at all? I don't know if this is...
So Jon
little
Jones
bit.
got fucking caught with doping again.
Dude, I could talk about this all night. Here, so UFC 200, I was feeling very fortunate. You guys have heard my spiel a million times about how with the UFC event, like they're not necessarily guaranteed a Super Bowl. So this is the main event of UFC 200. It's the one that people are most looking forward to. Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier, I can't do names. They're fighting, and it's such a big buildup, and it's it is one of the biggest fights that can possibly exist in all of MMA. It's prime Mayweather versus Pacquiao. It's the thing you wish you had. And nice cock, Kyle. It is amazing. And then Jon Jones fails his drug test. Rumor is 2 different drugs he was taking. Probably PEDs, but I'm not sure. And doping is not the same as steroids, typically. Usually doping means blood doping, so they have more red blood cells and more energy.
oh,
in
what
their
Lance
thing.
Armstrong did.
Well, blood
Amongst
doping,
other
but I think
things.
doping in general. I think doping would refer to all drugs because marijuana gets referred to as doping.
Okay,
Yeah, but I
I've
think
only
blood
heard
doping
blood doping
specifically
called
is-
that, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But basically, Jon Jones is out, and 72 hours before the event, he gets yanked. At the time we're recording this, the rumor is Anderson Silva's replacing him. He's fought at 205 before. He's coming off like 2 losses or something, 1 or 2 losses, and I don't know why he's getting this shot, but I guess he was willing to take it on short notice, and he's a big name. Jones's legacy, I think I'm particularly hard on drug users, like performance-enhancing drug users, because to me, he's off the list for greatest of all time. Like, he was the GOAT. Anderson Silva was the GOAT, got caught for PEDs, fuck him. Jon Jones is the GOAT, got caught for PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, fuck him. Demetrius Johnson is the GOAT now. Or George St. Pierre, one of those.
How many people are they going to go down through before they realize that like all those guys at the top are cheating?
I don't know.
Isn't it like? Do you really? I think it's probably, and this is not an educated stance because I don't follow the UFC, but I also didn't follow the fucking Tour de France. But it turned out that like if you wanted to pick the real winner, you had to go to like the guy in 28th place or something because every guy on every team was blood doping because you simply can't compete because everyone has the same unnatural advantage.
You might be right.
Like, is that what UFC is?
I don't
Where
think it's
it's
as
just,
bad.
Hey,
It's certainly
that
not.
guy's so good. He beats the shit out of everyone by a huge margin. Oh, fuck. Turns out, yeah, he was probably cheating.
There's
Darn.
some upside
let's
to
hit the
this.
next guy.
So
you
in track, there are runners who are considered too big to catch, right? You know, like Usain Bolt. I'm not saying he's doping, but I'm saying if he was caught, they might look the other way because some guys are too big and too important to catch. It would ruin the sport if they did. It's happened in swimming, I'm told, like some of these like German women or whatever, and it's definitely happened in track. Yeah, right.
Don't want to ruin that market. German swimming.
XYY.
Female German
Did you see the German
thing
soccer
is,
team
so-
in Playboy?
Yeah, I was disappointed.
That's a better topic.
The exciting thing about catching Jon Jones is like there's nobody bigger. He's number one, maybe next to Conor McGregor. If Jon Jones gets caught, then no one's too big to catch. 72 hours before UFC 200, and if you don't know the sport, like I can't even think of a parallel in most mainstream sports. Like even the Super Bowl happens every year. The UFC 100, 200, this is like every like an Olympic Super Bowl if there's such a thing. So like.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like it's the same as
One-tenth
UFC
the audience.
190. Yeah.
No,
I
UFC
think
200 is not the same as UFC like 182 or something like that. Like they take the 100 and 200 and make them like crazy events. They like everybody on the card is a mainliner, whereas normally you have one or two. Like it is not a normal card. They pull out all the stops. They got Brock Lesnar out of retirement to fight on this card, right? Like they pull out all the stops, and they took the last fight, like the mainest of the main event fighters, 72 hours beforehand, said no drugs. And so on the upside, you know, no one's safe. On the downside, it's Daniel Cormier, assuming his name is close to that, I mess him up. He's like, is there anything I can do? I'll sign a waiver. I'll fight him anyway. And it's like, that's pretty badass. You know, that was his...
Cormier.
Cormier? Yeah, I don't even trust you. Fuck off.
Cormier.
No, I
So
was
let me
saying it
tell.
like go ahead.
Let me tell everyone a little bit about Me Undies. You wear underwear every day. That's 365 days a year, rain or shine. You need it to be extraordinary without an insane price tag. Me Undies understands this, and that's why they've created the world's most comfortable underwear. Luxury at half the retail price you'd find anywhere else. MeUndies is made from modal, a fabric that's twice as soft as cotton and twice as soft as whatever you're wearing right now. Most of us wear underwear every day, so why settle for low-quality multi-pack underwear that's scratchy and lame? MeUndies has tons of colors and styles for both men and women, which means you and your lady can finally have matching underwear. They release a new design every month, and on top of that, they even have free shipping to the United States and Canada. MeUndies has a money-back guarantee. If you don't love your first pair, you get to keep it for free. That's right. They don't want your used underwear back. So you have nothing to lose. The best part about all this, of course, is that they're offering 20% off your first order when you use our URL, MeUndies.com/PKA. So click the link in the description or go to MeUndies.com/PKA to get 20% off your first order over at MeUndies. It really is superior underwear. Keeps your butt dry. Never rides up, keeps your cock and balls just so
on display.
On display.
Also
Excellent
this one?
underwear, worth the price. Make it happen.
I can't believe that topic's open. It's like Tom Brady just got pulled from the Super Bowl 3 days before it happened for performance-enhancing drugs. It impacts his legacy. It's everything. It's like the biggest drug bust ever to happen in UFC history, and I think I'm the only one that cares.
Well, Tom,
it's not
it'd
as
be
big
like
as
if-
the Super Bowl.
What's that?
It's not like a Super Bowl.
It's bigger,
event.
right? Because it's a Super Bowl that happens like this is the twice in history.
Well, you can't
Well,
say
no,
it.
I was saying it's like the Super Bowl, but it's much, just so much smaller. Like so much. Like in a big way, it's smaller. Like,
It's like
I'm
the
just being
bicentennial. You know, it's a big deal. Every 100, sure, they call out the stops, all the stops, but it's not like it's like they do it because Dana White says it'll make a lot of money. Hey, this is a round number, so let's spend a little bit more money here and beef up the pay-per-view numbers. They're trying to put on the biggest show they can put on in MMA, the biggest show that MMA's ever had, and they're failing at that pretty spectacularly. They got a Miesha Tate fight on there, right?
Oh, dude, I love that fight.
I know you do because you're a big MMA guy, but the average dude wants to see
she on there?
Where's Ronda? Where's
need to look
Ronda at?
Who's this
That's
other
all they
lady?
care about. Yeah. They don't care that Ronda's getting knee surgery or she's rehabbing or whatever Ronda's doing. This isn't as big as they would want it to be. They would much rather have Ronda Rousey and Jon Jones still on the card. I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna buy it though.
Every fight on this card, all the way down to Fight Pass, is amazing to me.
I knew all the names. I will say that. So like, I don't follow the UFC to the point where like I know. Yeah, I know the names. Like when I hear Frankie Edgar, I know who that is. So like when I'm watching, I saw all the names in that lineup, and I'm like, every single one of the matchups, I knew at least one of the guys. So I will say that for this this lineup, it's clearly the best that they could get together. They're doing their best at this, and unfortunately in professional sports, the fighters are fucking the fans over. That's what's happened here. Jon Jones has taken a little bit out of the greatness that should have been there. And, you know, coming off that cocaine hit and run bullshit and, you know, I got my axe cleaned up, you would think he'd be shooting straight, but clearly he's been doing it the whole time. I seriously doubt that Jon Jones was doing cocaine but not doing performance-enhancing drugs back a year ago. So he's been a doper his whole career.
Let me jump in. The cocaine drug test that they found, he didn't get busted for performance-enhancing drugs, but there was something weird about it, like abnormally high levels of estrogen to keep his ratio intact or something.
Well, not only that, but like that's one of the ways you prevent getting the bitch tits the hair loss, the acne and stuff like that. You counteract that huge amount of testosterone with estrogen. Clomid, I think, is one of the drugs. It's like I remember I was doing a lot of research about this stuff a long time ago. But yeah, that's how you prevent getting those serious side effects.
I might be wrong on the details of it, but the people who do understand these things were all like, this is very suspicious, and not just for the coke. You know, the ratios that it takes to flag for a drug test are usually pretty outrageous. Like, you know, if a normal man is 1-to-1 and a Superman is 4-to-1, we don't bust you until you hit 6-to-1, because these are kind of supermen, right? There's a very good chance that if I don't know, Jon Jones never popped a pill or shot a syringe, he would have better T levels than me, because I'm a normal person and he's a professional athlete. But they don't catch him until it's like a thing that humans don't do.
Yeah, so, I would imagine the blood chemistry of Jon Jones is completely different than ours. His cholesterol levels, his fat, his body fat content, the amount of water that's in his blood, his bone density, his muscle density, just the fibers that construct his muscles.
Ronda Rousey's nose can't break. It's weird. Yeah, I didn't do it personally, but I saw her on a talk show. She's like, yeah, push it. And people are like, that's weird. Her whole nose smushes in, so she can be like punched indefinitely without having a broken nose. It's just formed different. These aren't regular people. They're super people. And
I don't believe that. I think if I punched Ronda Rousey in the nose with my fist, it would break.
Apparently, like, she just doesn't have a bridge or something. The whole thing pushes in. I don't know. I got it from Conan O'Brien. But she's like, yeah, my nose can't break. Feel it. And he's like, oh, shit.
If Conan says it, I'm sold.
I was. So, what was that?
Coco. Yeah, Conan O'Brien.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't hear your words. But yeah. So these are super people. They're not like regular people. And if they get caught for abnormal ratios, they're super abnormal. Things that don't happen to humans. And
sports stars cheat. They just do. There was some baseball player on the Stern Show the other day, and I can't remember his name. It was an amazing interview because he talked not just about baseball. He talked a lot about his sex life and all the money he spent and wasted and stuff like that. So it was very good. And he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I did them. Yeah, I did steroids. I did them because I wanted that $100 million contract, and I got it, and I'm glad I got it. And it was great. It was so... because they had Jose Canseco on back in the day, and he comes on the opposite. He's like, I did it because I had to do it, and I feel terrible about it. And he just, all this bullshit, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. This guy is like, yeah, I did it. I'd do it again. Shit. I don't remember.
That's how I feel right now. I'm like, maybe I should start a CSGOLotto company. But I wouldn't hide it. I would be honest. I would say, you know what? I didn't realize this was such a lucrative business. Check out CSGO Woody. And
let's why don't remember that fan we've got who comes to the Google Hangouts and he does that shit and makes a bunch of money? Let's hire him. Let's each give him $5,000. Send him out to go get this thing set up and just keep promoting it. And we'll let everybody know we own it. And I won't play on it. Like, I don't want your fucking skins, bro. I just want to facilitate this fun game that you all seem so interested in.
I might play on it, but hey, what? Guaranteed you win.
Yeah,
if I win, I'll just give you the shit. I don't care.
I don't want to take anything from you guys in a bad way. I want to offer things to you and come up with like never a parasitic a circumstance, always a symbiotic circumstance where I give you something, you give me something, and we both walk away happy and we're glad that we did the thing. You know, you don't want to play some sort of hit and run business tactics, and you can't do that if you're dishonest when there's gambling involved. Now, if they started a company that was something else, I feel like they could have started maybe a hardware company. Maybe they're selling gaming mice and not admit that they own it, and people wouldn't have given that much of a shit. But because it's gambling, I think
that doubled it down.
Yeah, the real double thing there is the gambling.
I feel like a lot of other stuff, like because he had one lie, they added 5 more. Right? The thing about fixing games, I don't think is true.
I don't either.
They threw it in there. The thing about having like, oh my God, he's marketing to children. I don't know.
I don't care. That's it. That's who plays this shit. Everybody knows that.
I just, if he had said this is my site and said these are the rules for it, then it would have been about kids lying to him rather than about him trying to corrupt children.
Yeah, it's a shame it went the way it did.
Yeah, everything around it because of the initial lie, I didn't own it. Everything around it became more dirtier, and that's what happened.
How hot is it up there?
Oh, what are we talking about?
The temperature in North Carolina.
Oh, I thought you literally meant like, is my room too hot? The number's not that impressive. It'll be like mid-90s or something. But with the humidity, like you just step outside. I took drone footage, and I am just coated with sweat. Flying a drone, not strenuous.
Why didn't you get in a car?
Because the remote goes farther if I'm outside the car. So, and I need to go far. I want to go to the edge of the campuses and stuff like that. I'm not just flying above me. So, but yeah, so I'm outside and I'm like, you just melt in 60 seconds. My whole face is just beaded up with sweat. I'm doing this to my shirt, trying to get it to dry without having the shirt be like wet. It is so sweaty out. And even though it's just like 93, it's the worst 93 imaginable.
I think the next VR game I buy is going to be the Paramotor Simulator.
I'm so jelly. You'll have more flight time than me.
So Woody finally got to fly, and I went and watched the video. I don't remember, several days ago I watched it. I wanted to be able to get on a full screen, sit there and relax and see this thing from beginning to end. That second landing you took when you accidentally shut off the engine and some guy on the ground yells, he stalled! He stalled!
It was me. I yelled. You can hear me from the paramotor.
Oh, that's you screaming.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, stalled the motor, or something close to that.
I thought a random...
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought a guy on the ground was like, he stalled, oh no. But it's Woody screaming he stalled. But what Woody has done is as he's like guiding himself in, he hit the shutoff switch on one of his strings and the motor stops. And that's what's keeping him sort of gliding in nicely.
That's how you gain altitude. Yeah.
So he starts kind of dropping out of the air and descending a little faster
and before this happened, so what happened was he says, bad landing, go around again. Right? I didn't land in the spot I was supposed to. I was going to overshoot it. So I went to try again. And so it wasn't like the motor just stalled and it's... No. This was a landing that we had deemed unsuitable. And then it wasn't optional anymore.
Shit. Yeah, you hit the ground pretty hard, man.
It sounded hard.
It could have easily been like both legs broken. Like it doesn't take that much to break your legs if you just go in at a shit angle and maybe there's a rock that you didn't see and it touches your foot and it like just suddenly your knees go in the wrong direction. Like to your credit, I thought that was also a man on the ground saying, "Oh, you stalled," but knowing it's you you kept your composure. I would have freaked the fuck out. Oh, yeah, one time, of course. Why am I up here?
It looked very scary. You hit the ground pretty hard, and your landing gear is your feet. So you could have twisted an ankle or something, but it seemed like you did a good job of protecting the machinery. That thing is expensive, and I mean a broken leg's expensive, but I don't think it costs $12,000. So. Well,
we just had our second half of the show guests come on. Dave Rubin, thanks for coming in.
What's up, people?
Hey, how's it going?
Dave, you saw the chat, right? You're live.
I saw the chat. I am live. I jumped in on a twisted ankle. I have a severely twisted ankle myself right now. Arnica. You know about the arnica?
I don't.
No.
It's a homeopathic or some, you get it like some weird people that sell shit that you probably shouldn't buy.
Snake oil, yeah.
Yeah. You just rub it on your leg, and then the sensation will eventually come back. You'll be all right.
Huh. So, basically, I think Kyle and Woody have watched a little bit of your stuff. I lean, admittedly, more to the right, and you're the only channel on YouTube that I can watch a guy who's a self-professed liberal talk about it, because you don't come off as smug, which is the biggest turnoff, I think, to people on the little more right. Woody here, more of a centrist, me and Kyle on the right, but the smugness turns a lot of people off, even if they're being, genuine and right. But yeah, I really enjoy your content on your channel.
Guys,
it's mostly a compliment, right?
Dave,
Oh,
can I interrupt real quick? Because I'm gonna head off. It was really nice meeting you, but thank you guys so much for having me, and adios. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks,
introduction to
Kweb.
the show.
Always nice having Kwebbelkop on the show. And
Thanks for coming.
What kind of show did I just jump in on?
Don't judge.
You know what I always say? To each his hole. It's okay.
There you go. Yeah, my biggest issue with... So if you had talked to me a year ago, I'd be pretty left, right? Like way over there. It's like, do they call it the righteous left? What is the regressive left?
Yes.
The hippie ones that are like, it just makes you not want to be on their team anymore. The guys who find injustices when they're not really there. The people who completely avoid responsibility for the position that they're in. It is infuriating, and it makes you want to jump ship.
Yeah, well, first, I hear from so many people that I'm the only liberal they can tolerate, which I know they mean as a compliment, but I'm starting to think it's not a compliment, because it's lonely, man. Like, I should be writing a book. I am writing a book, but it's not going to be titled this, but it should be The Last Liberal Standing. I mean, that's how I feel right now, because I am and always have been a liberal. I'd be happy to answer literally any question you guys want to ask me on any topic, and can explain any political position I have. And I think 9 out of 10 times they will come across as liberal positions, which, by the way, in a classic liberal sense, aren't very far from libertarian positions. It's just which part of your brain you argue from, sort of. But yes, to both of your points, the regressive ideology, the regressive left, this outrage machine, this social justice warrior machine, this oppression Olympics machine, this group of people who consistently want to rank us all on our color and our creed and our nationality and our sexuality and whether we are ableist or not, and other nonsensical words that they make up to basically paralyze all of us from actually speaking. This is on the left, and just to be very clear, because people say this to me all the time, you're on the left, but you're a liberal, but you never attack the right. The right aren't my guys. I will gladly rip apart everyone on the right if that's where you want to go with this. But I'm trying to clean up my house. You know what I mean? I could turn on any TV show. We could turn on The Daily Show, or you could turn on, what's her name on TBS that has that new show, or any show, SNL, anything. They'll always rip apart the right. That's easy. I'm trying to clean house here, and I'm dealing with a bunch of people that think I'm cisgendered scum, even though I'm gay, but that doesn't count anymore because I'm white. So,
Yeah, Milo ruined that. He came in all gay and alt-right, and now you don't even get that checkbox on your card.
No, you're out. There are actual LGBT organizations in colleges right now, Google this, I'm not making this up, that are now not allowing white gay men to sit on the boards of the organizations because now those guys are privileged. And look, this is the inherent problem. If you view everybody just by what you can see about them, the ultimate individual, as Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who I think is one of the greatest humans on earth who I've had on my show, she always says, look, if you want to protect minorities, the minority that you really have to protect is the individual, because the individual is the ultimate minority. So every time you get upset because someone talks about Islam, which is the most regressive ideology in practice today, if you get upset every time someone criticizes it, who are you hurting the most? You're not hurting the three of you guys or me. You're hurting the atheist Muslim that lives in Saudi Arabia. You're hurting the gay guy that lives in Kuwait, the free thinker that lives in Egypt. Those are the people you're hurting, so don't pretend you're for them. You're only for them because you lump them all together. It's pretty pathetic.
Here's the thing.
Totally
It's a
agree.
behavior I've noticed, and I sometimes do it myself, so I don't know how to cope with it. The Trump apologist, right? So people listen to Trump, and if he says something that they love, oh my gosh, we have to stop all these bad trade deals. We lose every one of them. They say, yeah, Trump's right about that. And if they say something they don't like, you know what? I'm pro-life. They'll say, he was just kidding about that position. No. The ones that he agrees with me on, those are all true. The ones where we disagree, he's just saying that to get elected. The thing is, I hate to say, is there an element of truth to that, right? Like, Trump really was pro-choice a few years ago. He might just be saying that to get elected. And that's not the only position that he's like that.
Look, first off, all they all want to do is be elected. Every single one of them. That's what they're there to do, be elected. Barack Obama said a lot of shit when he was running for office that never came to fruition. Remember when he was talking about Obamacare the first time around? We're going to have all the hearings live on C-SPAN, nothing behind closed doors, blah, blah, blah. So even if you're the most pro-Obamacare person, which I basically think it's okay, even though I just went independent with my show, we're now a small business. By going through Obamacare, it cost me a lot more than had I done it through individual things, which is a whole boring other topic. But the point is, they all lie. All of them lie. What people are hitting on with Trump is that he doesn't speak like a politician, which a lot of that I think is good. But look, I think to your point, ultimately, this guy's a New Yorker. He's been around New York liberals his entire life. He's a big government New York guy, which as a New Yorker myself, born in Brooklyn, grew up in Long Island, went to college upstate New York, lived there almost my whole life until the last 3 years. I have no problem with New York. I love New York. Give me a state where they have more diverse people living together and not killing each other. That's New York. Go to New York City for a day, At the same time, people don't know what he believes. So I would say that between him and Clinton, if there was ever a time that we just needed to have a national referendum on getting these fucking people out of our lives, this is it.
Yeah. The thing about Trump is sometimes I really it's that I want to like him a lot more than I actually do, just because I want to believe that I'm doing something against Hillary. That's really the motivating factor for me this cycle, and most people in my boat is I don't want Hillary. I don't think the whole email nonsense like her, it puts a bad taste in my mouth that she can get away with shit that I couldn't, and that you couldn't, and that Woody couldn't. We'd all be fucked if we were in that situation. We wouldn't have, Obama wouldn't have tweeted
I've had my own
it.
email server. No one gave a shit.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about the email thing with her just in the last couple of days is that basically Comey came out and said this woman is not criminal in that she didn't maliciously do these things, but pretty much he just said she's incredibly inept. That, in a way, is a worse condemnation than had she maliciously done this. Saying she doesn't really know what she's doing, she doesn't really understand what our basic procedures are, how is that giving anyone confidence? So yeah, she's not going to be brought up on charges, but the Democrats are trying to spin this like they're walking away like, haha, see, we're free now. It shows, at best, it shows utter incompetence, and most people that are listening to this or watching this, if you at your job did something that was grossly negligent, but you did it by accident, guess what? You'd get in shit. You'd probably be fired.
Yeah.
But they're chalking this up as a major win because their candidate is grossly negligent.
The way that the FBI guy was explaining it, it was so reminiscent to me of when Dumbledore would read that shit at the end of Harry Potter where he'd be like, you endangered your fellow students, you made gross misappropriations of magic power, and for this you are receiving the highest honor. Like, that's what it was like. It was the guy being like, you did this, you did that. Some reporter, hey, if anybody else did this, would they be in trouble? Yes, you did this, you did that. No charges. As a matter of fact, no one reasonable would bring you up on them. Moving on. Like, it's enraging to see that kind of that's the truest example of privilege I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that's the thing. If there was ever a time for people to really figure out what is the role of government, what should government do in our lives? Do you want more Hillary Clinton in your life? Do you want more, even if you're the biggest Trump guy and you love the free speech stuff and that he's railing against the SJWs and all of that stuff, even if you absolutely love that, and believe me, I get it. My main place of sympathy with him is that he's trying to crack through this politically correct, horrific, chilling bullshit that we deal with on a daily basis that is literally destroying the country. There's a lot of other bad things going on here too, but I think that's pretty. It's on the top of my list of some really horrible shit. But at the end of the day, if there was a real libertarian, a classical liberal or libertarian candidate who said, what is government supposed to do? What is it that we're actually supposed to do? Should we be part of your lives? Or is government supposed to give you roads and give you some schools and, have some defense, but not have fanciful wars and blah, blah, blah? I think most people, and this is, I think, why my show's working and the things that I'm talking about are working, most people, that's what they want. They want to be left alone. You want to wake up, go to your job, eat some decent food, have sex with someone that you want to have sex with, and that's it. That's pretty much it. And instead, we've created a situation where somehow, yeah, that's a pretty good day, right? Instead, we've created a situation where somehow we have to have Trump and Clinton making every decision of whether a trans person can go to a bathroom and this one can do that. And it's like, that has nothing to do with what the founding fathers wanted the government to be about.
I'm in North Carolina, and that's such an embarrassment to me. Like,
I hope you go into your own bathroom without, have you ever put on a dress and gone into your own bathroom? Because
sure, haven't we all?
That's a unisex bathroom in your home, right? Anyone allowed?
All are welcome.
Yeah.
You should open your bathroom to refugees. Take it 2 steps further.
Hang on a goddamn minute.
One of the things that's appealing about Trump is the people that hate Trump, I hate them. Right? Yeah. Social justice warriors hate Trump. Remember when he was still in the primary and 50 multimillionaires came in their private jets to the coast of, is it Virginia, Kyle? Georgia, coast of Georgia, and tried to put their heads together on how to stop Trump from winning the nomination? Well, that sounds like the kind of person I don't like either. Like it doesn't matter whether it's the elite not wanting Trump in or the social justice warriors not wanting Trump in. It's like, I'm against that team, so I guess I'm on this one.
Well, Bill Kristol from the National Review has been leading this charge, right, to get the delegates to be unbound. And a lot of mainstream Republicans want the delegates to be unbound. So forget whether you like Trump or not. But irrelevant. If you want, after we've had now, 6 months of elections, he mauled everybody. Again, for better or worse, he mauled everybody. He systematically took them all down, showed that they were all pathetic, flawed candidates, which they all were. The only one who I think was saying anything different was Rand Paul, who got sacked after the freaking Iowa straw poll or something. But forgetting all the things you may hate about Trump, if you're for the idea that after all of these elections and the most Republican votes ever and 62% up in turnout for Republicans, if you're for the idea of allowing unbound delegates, that you basically meaning that delegates could now go into the convention and say, you know what, you guys had fun for 6 months and you all had record turnout and we did elections and all that, but actually the seat of power, we've decided to pick somebody else. Even regardless of whether I like Trump or not, I would be on the streets protesting that too, because then we genuinely no longer have democracy, and it's tenuous at best whether we have it at this point. But you cannot allow party delegates to suddenly, and this is what Bernie wanted, until a month ago. He wanted party delegates, the super delegates, which he rails against, says the system's corrupt. But his whole campaign for the last 2 months was about getting super delegates to override the popular vote. So they're all liars. They're all con men. And these
even
people
Bernie.
should have with our lives. Yeah, even Bernie.
I've said this.
I think that Bernie's stance on this. I think that Bernie's stance on this is that it's a corrupt, crooked system, not because there are super delegates, but because those super delegates had already came out in favor of Hillary before any voting took place, way back before Iowa or any of that stuff. So that influenced the public at large. I think that's been what he's said all along. And yeah, you're right. At the end, he was like, so let's make it work for me now. But
right. So there's a little. So yes, you're right, because a lot of them had pledged before Bernie had gotten any momentum or any of that stuff. But they can turn their pledge. They could still turn it tomorrow. They could.
Can you imagine what would happen to that guy? The guy who's like, Hillary, I know Team Hillary, yeah, but I changed my mind. I'm gonna what? Someone
it'd be worse than going against Chris Christie.
So
I
what's
don't
the
think
story? Let me go check on
I
this.
don't think she was vindictive or anything.
Whack back his ass, whack him over the head like V for Vendetta.
I've said the same thing as Dave. You know, I really, really don't like Clinton, and I've actually never met a Clinton supporter. The liberals are Bernie supporters. I still have yet to ever meet a Clinton supporter, and I really don't like Trump, but I do like democracy. And Trump got the most votes, and Clinton got the most votes. And people who think it was at all close that Bernie was in this race, you have to realize he was winning the caucuses, right? So if you were to go popular vote, not only did Bernie lose the popular, like the electoral vote, if it's called that, in the primaries, but the delegate vote, but he lost the popular vote by even a bigger percentage because he was winning these low turnout caucuses.
Yeah, he lost the popular vote by about 3 million. So when they keep telling you he's having a revolution, like, I get it. He talked about some stuff that I would guess that we all probably agree on, that the system is broken and that money's corrupting the system and all of those things, whether we agree or disagree. The point is that he did talk about some things that most people want to talk that nobody talks about. Not that long ago, it was with, 20 years ago, there was something called the McCain-Feingold Act, where actually John McCain was leading the charge to get campaign finance taken care of, and then the Supreme Court systematically destroyed that. So Bernie did some good stuff, but I always said all along about Bernie that I actually liked him better than I liked his supporters, because it was this entire SJW thing, and it was just this grievance industry, and I am not a victim, and I don't want anyone to treat me like a victim. And by the way, that's why I thought gay rights were important, because gay people just wanted equality. Now we got equality. Now I want to be treated as shitty as everybody else. I don't want you to not think you can make a fucking joke about me or say what you want about me. Give us equality. And I know there's still a couple little things that need to be dealt with, but that's it. Now let's be treated equal. And if we just keep afraid to say anything about anybody, that's when people start killing each other. Because they're so internally frustrated.
I didn't like Bernie's platform, and I'll tell you why. I felt like the side effect of his platform was a lack of responsibility, right? He tells you the system is rigged. He's not telling you stop majoring in women's studies, right? He tells you it's not your fault that you're not getting ahead. The system is rigged. Everything, like, oh, the student loan debt, you signed up for that. Did you not look at the cost of schools when you chose whatever private school over public school, and now you're complaining about your debt? Did you not work summers? If these people finished with 6 figures worth of debt, they probably didn't drop a dime into their tuition costs for 4 years. You took a 4-year vacation, you fuckhead. Now you have 6 figures worth of debt. And Bernie says it's not your fault, that this should have been free in the first place. Dude, assume some responsibility. Take a major that will get you employed after college, right? This isn't supposed to be like this, I don't know, 4-year vacation where you enrich your heart
Bernie
as a person.
never once uttered a word about raising some money for trade schools. Some people who spend 2 years and then go right into the workforce where they can start building seniority and become an entrepreneur, perhaps. I always use the idea of a young person who's maybe not heading to college and they don't know what to do. Why don't you go get a degree in heating and air? It'll take you 2 years, and 5 years from now, you can have your own heating and air van and your own business in 10. Like, you want to be a millionaire even though you barely graduated high school? That's how you do it.
Or you can do what Bernie did, his path to success of being a bad carpenter for a few years and then being a irrelevant senator in one of the least influential states in the union.
Yeah, well, look, also, Bernie, I think, had maybe 2 pieces of real legislation in like 30 years, and they pretty much were nothing. So people like to think he's this outsider renegade who's done all this stuff, and actually he's done virtually nothing across the aisle. And the truth is, he's not a Democrat. He really is a socialist, which is fine if that's what you are. But so to me, it's like now everyone's upset he hasn't endorsed Hillary yet. But it's like you're about to endorse the person that literally stands for everything that you're against. You hate Wall Street money, and guess what? Now you're about to endorse the ultimate in Wall Street money. And I'm actually, in some ways, I'm a little surprised because I thought there was a chance that he would take this moment, because the whole political system is so mangled right now and everyone is so frustrated, and say, you know what? I'm not endorsing her. I'm running as an independent. He wouldn't win, but it would set the stage for a third party in 2020, which I hope will be a libertarian party. I wouldn't want it to be that party, but I thought he was maybe going to do that. But now it's like Elizabeth Warren. It's like she didn't endorse anyone the entire time, even though she agrees with everything Bernie says. She waited until the day Bernie lost California to finally say she's endorsing Hillary. It's like, wow, you're a leader. You people aren't leaders. You're all
there's still
it's funny.
No convictions.
I love the side effect of Elizabeth Warren endorsing Clinton isn't that Bernie supporters suddenly like Clinton. It's that Bernie supporters suddenly don't like Elizabeth. You know, that's been the well, you're a sellout. Now we know. You know, that's fun.
A big thing with Bernie, I think, and the reason he appeals to so many people my age and younger, like mid-20s, late 20s even, is that he's so old and has been around for so long that he's like all the other senators probably know of him as an irrelevant loser who's never done anything and is sitting at the lunch table by himself. Oh my God, you see what Bernie brought to lunch again? What an idiot. Like, that's what they're doing. And he comes out, tells all these kids, my age, older, younger, hey, it's not your fault. It's all everybody else's fault. No responsibility on you. You're in a broken system. And they're all like, hey, yeah, this guy's not a dumb idiot who never achieved anything. He basically finagled his way into a career.
You're breaking up, Taylor. But there was a similar... There was a similar thing that happened.
Vermont.
I don't think he can hear us.
He's cool. He's fighting for me. It's like the only reason people who hate sports.
Let him go here. I'm liking this.
So there was a similar thing during the mortgage crisis when McCain and Obama were running against each other. There was this big can you believe all these loan companies made people take out these loans? It's not their fault at all. They're so deep in debt and losing their houses. They had nothing to do with it. The loan companies should have verified their income better. And Taylor, it looks like you're back. So I'm just like, man, you know, of course they'll say anything to get elected, but the message of you're not personally responsible for the things that you do is a very popular one, and I hate it.
Yeah, well, look, you could take two Bernie things very easily. You could take the free college thing. First off, it sounds great. That's your point. It sounds great if you're young. If I was 15 and they were like, you're going to go to college for free, I would have been like, that's the greatest thing ever. Now, I went to a SUNY school in New York, a State University of New York at Binghamton, and it was pretty freaking cheap. So I didn't walk out of there with all the debt that everybody had, and I got a great education. But first off, free is not free. Somebody is paying for it. Somebody pays your professor. Somebody pays the janitor at the commissary, right? Somebody pays that. So when they keep saying free, it's just stupid. Number one. Number two, you know, the minimum wage thing, I think, is also one of the most disingenuous things that they've pushed. Because there was that debate where Bernie kept saying, $15 minimum wage, $15 minimum wage. Now, first off, of course, you're young again. It sounds good, $15. Now, number one, guess what? McDonald's is going to then replace all of their workers with iPads. They're doing it already. It's happening already. Every fast food joint, every minimum wage job. In LA, in Koreatown over here, our Walmart closed because they've already passed something in California for the $15 minimum wage that's going to kick in a year or two. And Walmart immediately was like, we're out. Now, look, I don't have any great love of Walmart, and I would be much more for small businesses. But the point is, business is going to do what business has to do. So if the government comes in and just puts artificial controls, so then it's never going to work. So when Bernie's like 15 and then Hillary was like, well, she tried to do something a little more honest, believe it or not. She was like, wow. Well, we could get it to 12 and then see what happens. And basically they booed her because Bernie just stuck out a position that is every economist knows is nonsense. Anyone, you don't even have to be an economist. You just have to be a smart person. What's going to happen at McDonald's if they say, well, we could pay our people 8, or we could replace, and then now the government's saying pay them all 15, and we can replace 10 people with a fucking iPad.
There's a couple things they could do there, right? Like one is, as you said, you could automate them, and that's probably the most likely option. Another option is they could offshore them or do some sort of equivalent offshore, right? You know, McDonald's
drive-through.
Yeah, McDonald's might be most busy between, I'll make it up, like 12 and 1:30, right? Well, you know, shucks, get that guy who just finished his shift in New York to do the Illinois shift, you know, a time zone away, and then I don't even know any Denver shift, and then the LA shift. You know, they don't have to hire.
Do the drive-through.
You could have a call center. Yep. It could be in India.
It's like a misframing of the entire argument as well, because from Bernie's side, he makes it sound like it should be perfectly fine to be a 46-year-old man with 4 kids and be working at McDonald's and be like, I can't afford my my apartment and my home and my cars and private school for my kids. It's like, well, that's because of a series of bad decisions that you made. It shouldn't have been on your radar to think, oh, 25 years from now, I'll still be working at McDonald's. You know, that excellent minimum wage they provide me is more than enough for my family. Like, no, it's supposed to be a job that young people have as a transitionary period to where, you know, you're making enough money to make kind of ends meet, and then you move on to something else. Like, it's not the last stop on your life ride. I was fucking first.
The $15 an hour thing was always pitched as a way to transfer money from the employer to the employee, right? That's their thing. And they completely deny that there are other places that money might go, as if their hands are tied and the only option is to just pay employees more. No.
Right. And what the thing is, what it comes down to is forgetting, even if we had an economist on here who was arguing against everything that we've all said here, what it comes down to is, what should the role of government be? Should the role of government be to tell businesses how much they can pay their people? Or should the market dictate that? And look, we have crony capitalism that we have an artificial market. So it's not, because big businesses get all these tax breaks so then they can hire more people for less and all of that stuff. So no one's defending that. I am not defending that at all. And even with like the housing market, as you mentioned before, I don't want to come off as a cold, heartless right-winger on this one, because I agree with you. It's about personal responsibility. So these people shouldn't have take these $1 million house if you make $40,000 a year. Of course you shouldn't. But at the same time, if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac come in, and these are government-backed organizations, and they're like, yeah, you can do it. We've been trained to think that the government is sort of like God or Santa Claus or something, where it's like, oh, well, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, I don't know who the fuck they are, but if they said we could do it, well, then that sounds pretty legit. So I get it, and I agree with you that it's about personal responsibility, but at the same time, the government has created these imaginary constructs that people start believing in. And that's why on my show I try to talk about the ideas behind this shit and not just the day-to-day minutia of it. Because people should say, well, and this is another thing with the progressives, it's like all you do all day long is rail against the system, right, Bernie? Rail against the system. And what's their solution? Make the system bigger. Make government bigger. Keep giving it more of your money. Allow government to take money from some people and give it to other people. So you're saying it's fucked up, and we better make it bigger. That's the only solution, and that's just bonkers.
So are you voting for Clinton?
I don't know. I'm moving up the moon. I don't know what I'm doing.
If Clinton wins, I'm leaving the country. But if Trump wins, I'm leaving the country too. I just like to travel.
Yeah, this will be a good day. Won't be a great time to travel after he trashes all those deals. But yeah, I had Gary Johnson on my show, who's the Libertarian candidate. I'm sure you guys know him. And I sat there across the table from the guy, and I looked him in the eye, and we talked about a lot of ideas. And I really liked him. There is no shot in hell he can win. But right at this moment, I would say I'm leaning towards voting for him, because for whatever influence that I have with my audience, if there was ever a time to do a protest vote and just say, you know what, I'm not happy with either one of these people. I like some of the stuff with Trump. I sort of like, I just don't like any of this in a lot of ways. If there was ever a time to say, I got to do a protest vote so that maybe we can have an alternate voice in 4 years, I think this is it. But I'm not sure that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait to announce probably till the end of the summer after the conventions. And
I think you're too young to do this.
Do you think there's any chance that you might cast your protest vote for Trump, or is that totally off the table in your
No, it's not off the table. It's not off the table. I'm glad you asked that, because people have been begging me to answer that question. It's not off the table. I think this social justice warrior stuff and this, look, Trump may be lying about a zillion things. Everyone knows he lies constantly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. But the thing is, they all lie constantly. Hillary lies constantly. All of them lie constantly. He's just lying more like a regular person lies than a politician lies. And that's the thing. When he lies, it sounds like your friend who's a liar. But you know what I mean? And when they lie, and then they talk about it in politician speak. And we've been so dumbed into believing that that's how you're supposed to lie, that somehow comes off as a better lie. And he's just talking the way most of us talk. And so I could see it's a situation where I vote for him. And that's crazy. I've only voted, I'm not proud of this anymore, by the way, but I've only voted Democrat my entire life in pretty much every major election, except for the third term that Giuliani ran after 9/11. I lived in New York City at the time, and I thought he did such a good job fixing the city that I did vote for him. And I don't say that with any pride. Maybe I should have been more diverse in my thinking all these years. But I don't know what I'm going to do.
I
really
voted
don't.
for Ross Perot twice. I'm old. And
Wow.
yeah, it was. Well,
Did they even when you do that? Did they even put it in the basket with the rest, or they just throw it the fuck away? They're just like, hey, this guy accidentally clicked Perot too. Huh.
So Ross Perot was actually a multi-billionaire, and he bought these advertisements across all of television like a night or two before the election, and he did like I'm trying to get it right, like a 2-hour infomercial on why you should vote for him. And it was pretty neat. Like he had it wasn't a PowerPoint presentation, but it was old school. He had all these cue cards and stuff, and he was talking with facts and figures about what he would do and why his ideas were right. And just having visual aids was still people don't really do that, but it was groundbreaking. And then one of the things he said that was most compelling to me was he's like, look, even if I don't win, right? If I just get, and I forget what the number is, 25% of the vote, then we become a viable third party. And next term, I receive government funding. And now everyone turns down the government funding because it's not enough and you can't do both. But at the time, government funding is what it took to be a viable campaign. And he's like, if I get this government funding, then my party is on the same footing as Republicans and Democrats. And he got 19% of the vote. It wasn't trivial. It was a miss, but...
Yeah, and that's why, if for no other reason, I would say people like us should at least be talking about Gary Johnson enough that, he only has to get 15%, an average in the polls that they allow. And look, the big two campaigns and the networks, they're all in it together, so they'll never allow it to happen no matter what, but I'm a dreamer a little bit. If he was to average 15%, knowing what I just said, they'll never let it happen. But if he was to average 15% in those national polls, they'd have to put him in one of the debates. And I would say at the very least, before you make your selection of these two people, let's have one debate with another voice. Let's have one debate with a guy who is for gay marriage because he thinks the government shouldn't have anything to do with it, who's truly for legalizing weed because he doesn't think the government should have anything to do with it, who understands that we shouldn't have a bloated military that has adventures all over the world but should have a strong defense. Most of those things are things that people care about. So let's have one debate with that guy. But as I said, I'm a dreamer.
One of the challenges with Libertarian, all the things you said, I'm like, yeah, sign me up. That's exactly where I am, right? And then
Libertarians need a leader.
Well, the other trouble with it is so Ron Paul ran as a Republican, but let's all say pseudo-libertarian, and then he says things like, "Hey, let's completely get rid of the EPA." And you're like, whoa, well, what happens if this whole neighborhood gets cancer? Oh, well, okay. So that neighborhood would get together and launch a lawsuit against the power company, and then, it'll just get resolved. That's not no, you need a government to protect you in more aspects than he
Little
wanted.
Bobby's got 15 toes. The lawsuit isn't going to help.
Yeah, not only that.
The damage is done.
Dude, regular people can't sue big companies. We saw it with cigarettes for decades.
Listen, if regular people could sue big companies, when that three-eyed fish showed up in Springfield, Simpson would have been able to take down Mr. Burns, but it didn't work out that way.
I have a squid for a son, Your Honor. I don't care what the judgment is.
Yeah,
I think the problem goes to what you're saying.
This seems a problem with.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I think I'm still lagging behind you audio, so I'm just gonna fuck it up.
I think the main issue with the Libertarians is, first off, we've been so whacked into believing that Republicans or Democrats are the only thing that matter. Which, talking about Republicans and Democrats, guess what? There's a reason that Wall Street gives 51% to one side and 49% to the other, and it flips sometimes. It's because they're not really that different. That's the truth. I mean, even Obama in his second term, you know how many fundraisers he's gone to, $30,000 plate fundraisers as a second term? Now, I get it. He's the head of the party. But, you wanted hope and change, and guess what? The system is only much more worse after 8 years. Not to say he's done some good stuff, too. But I think the reason Libertarians haven't caught on is because, until the last 3 months where people realized this Clinton-Trump thing was serious, nobody was even talking about them mainstream at all. And the problem is that they have this litmus test, you're right, where it's a lot of makes sense. Weed, good. Gay marriage, who cares? Let's not put so many people in jail. Okay, sounds good. And then suddenly it's but destroy, get rid of the EPA and then they have this test where it's if you're not pure, then they hate you because they've been outliers for so long they can't agree on anything. I don't know if you guys saw any of the Libertarian convention, but it was bananas. I mean, it was a comedy.
I heard some of it. They were playing it on the Howard Stern show because it was bananas. Yeah, it can get out of hand pretty quickly. I like that they're used to being outliers, so it's weird to have a cohesive group of them. They're like, wait, you like that too? I want no government at all. No one can write anything down anymore, ever. No more writing. Like they just want to be so out there sometimes.
Yeah.
Let me sneak in here with an ad for the show. It is time. This episode is being brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate is a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear. For less than $20 per month, you get 4 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and much, much more. Make sure to head on over to lootcrate.com/painkiller and enter offer code painkiller, that's all caps, to save $3 on any new subscription right now. Loot Crate is more than just a subscription service, though. It's an entire community of fans that share their experience and interact with each other around the unboxing of each month's crate. And they guarantee $40 or more in every single crate. Sometimes it's a lot more. Every month there is a different theme, and all of the items are curated around that theme. Previous crates have included items from franchises like Star Wars, Marvel, The Walking Dead, and The Legend of Zelda, as well as many more. Join us as we celebrate the futuristic. That's the one for this month. We've packed July's crate with items from some of pop culture's favorite prognostications of science and future. Look towards the future with items from Rick and Morty, Futurama, Star Trek, Mega Man, Valiant Comics, and Star Trek twice, including a model, a model, a figure, and don't forget about their monthly T-shirt and pin. So remember, you only get until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/painkiller and enter offer code painkiller to save $3 on your new subscription today.
All right. I like the Rick and Morty shit.
Yeah, me too. The third season of Rick and Morty, for those of you out there who are fans, I believe is coming out on the 26th of this month, though there's already been some talks of like some delays and stuff. But very, very soon we get that long-awaited third season. It's not going to be another 6 months, year, anything like that. Rick and Morty coming soon.
I don't think so.
No,
I know
true.
you don't.
It was supposed to be 2017, and then they announced that it was coming out way earlier than they had told you initially. And that's one of the. Dave, do you watch that show at all? Rick and Morty.
I don't, but Futurama I loved. I can go down that road with you.
This is a bit like that. It's very dark. It's a very good show. It takes a lot for me to get into a new animated series because I feel like there's some animated series out there that are just amazing, and then there's a bunch of them that are just shit, and I don't want to get into that cartoon that you like so much. But this is one of the ones that's like it's right up there with things like South Park, I guess, and I like King of the Hill, or at least some of it, and I like the old Simpsons and some of Family Guy. But this is one of the best animated series on television. I love it. It's very, very smart.
Is very hit or miss. Like if you get a Peggy heavy episode, Jesus, like
yeah, Peggy Hill. Yeah, they won a few Emmys.
It's just her speaking Spanish poorly.
I like those.
What I heard about Rick and Morty, and I could be wrong, is that a lot of people are confused thinking that it comes out the 26th of this month because it actually came out the 26th of last year. Like July 26th is when it came out last year. And they're seeing out-of-date stuff. Like there was this, I saw it on Reddit. The guy's like, "Don't be confused. Everyone is just mixed up because it came out that date last year, but it's not going to be out that date this year." I could be wrong.
They've been tweeting about it, the makers of the show and stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's coming out very, very soon. I heard that the 26th got delayed by like a day or two or something like that, or there was some tweet about that. But it's not going to be another year. It's going to be at the end of this month.
If it's on Twitter, it's true. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely so.
I'm Googling it and I can't find like an official time. I just heard, not to get it mixed up, that it's not July 26th. That was last year, so I don't know for sure. I was like, oh yeah, I read about that. It turns out that it's not the 26th, and a lot of people think it's. That's why. Anyway, Obama and transparency. That's one of the things that he didn't do in his term. And I wish I knew why, right? So this guy ran his first campaign, transparency. But not just that. In his inauguration speech, he goes in there and says, like, we are going to be the most open and transparent government in history. And because it was the inauguration speech, it meant something different to me. Like, he's not trying to get elected anymore. This is actually what he intends to do. And then something happened to him that happens to everybody that makes them say, holy smokes, you know what? Transparency is a terrible idea, and we have to start keeping everything we do the biggest secret we can possibly keep it. Something is like, I don't know why transparency is terrible, but apparently once you get on the inside, even the purest of hearts, like Obama seemed to have during his first term, get turned black, and they just
because absolute power corrupts absolutely. You know, like, look, if you think back to the first Obama Hope and Change thing, I feel like I would like. If it was like being on Molly for like 3 months nonstop, you know, like
I wouldn't know.
Trust me, you wouldn't want to be on it for 3 straight months.
Okay.
Like, it would be a bit much. But we were all just taken not by facts. We were taken by feelings. It felt so good that this was happening. It felt right. And he was running against, you know, old stodgy John McCain, who, by the way, I've had on my show and is a pretty decent guy. And if John McCain was running this year as a Republican, I'm 99% sure I would vote for him with no problem.
They call him the hero. Ha! The hero.
Oh.
Hey,
what would
I
Trump
want
nickname
who
him?
Don't get captured. That's what I want. That's a hero. Now, let's be honest though. Like, hang on a minute. Like, maybe there's a bit of John McCain's history I'm not aware of, but I understand that he was a pilot and then he was shot down and then he was held in captivity for 4 or 5 years, something like that. A long period of time. It wasn't a short stay.
Yeah.
But what about that makes him a hero? Did he like withstand torture and not give something up the whole time, or did he just live?
He was definitely tortured, and he was kept in a small crate thing.
Bamboo cage. Yeah, I know that he was mistreated and it was terrible, and I think maybe he's got a limp because of how he was treated or something. Maybe a wound wasn't set correctly. But which part of that makes him the hero? I want to know what he did that was heroic.
Right. So look, I don't know what the information is as far as I actually don't know if he had information that he didn't give up or whatever it was. He probably did know some strategic things about troops or whatever it is.
But that would get old fast, you know, like if they've been torturing you for more than 3 days and you still haven't told, like back at command, they're like, hey, did you switch the codes? Because McCain knew them. Oh yeah, those rotate every night. McCain didn't know shit. Like, I mean, what did McCain really know? What time chow was? Like, I mean, he's just a pilot.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know, I think when I had him on, you know, I thought my sense from this guy was, even though I've disagreed with him on a lot of stuff and he's more militaristic than I would be, I felt that he really still is trying to do what he thinks is right, and that there was still some sort of moral center there. And we don't have much of that. Like, I get it again, and for as long as we do this, I'll keep repeating it. I get why people are supporting Trump. But it doesn't have anything to do with a real moral center. It doesn't have to do anything with real policy. They're voting on, you know, they mock people on the left because they say they vote on feelings, but they're voting on a feeling too. But I do understand it. I understand the frustration. This creeping idea of us all being afraid to say what we think and tolerating a media that is in bed. And just look on all the cable news channels and figure out who's married to what politicians, and they all go to the same parties. And the kids of the politicians are all anchors and analysts, and you know all the other analysts are former campaign managers. There is a media elite and a political elite that are in on it together. And guess what? They all hate Trump. So for that reason alone, I understand why the Trump people say that's the guy that we have to vote for. I get it. You want to crush this thing? Milo, when he was on my show, said it really eloquently. He said, "You want to crush this social justice, corruption of the mind, warp nonsense," you know, and he does it in a British accent, so it sounds a lot better than when I'm saying it. But he said it's at its height right now, and maybe this is the one chance to destroy it. And I understand that. I do.
Yeah, I like Trump, and I guess I will vote for Trump for a couple of reasons. One, Hillary is just, she's evil incarnate. Guns are a big part of how I make my living. So like, gun control doesn't just strike at my strong constitutionalist beliefs. It also strikes at my wallet. So it's just like, hang on a minute, I don't like this. I can't stand for it. And it doesn't matter if Satan himself is running against Hillary. I'll vote for Satan. But then you've got this outsider, this ultimate outsider in some regards is Donald Trump. He's not a Republican. He's not really a Democrat either. He's Trump. He's out for himself. And in some regards, that's us too. You just have to line yourself up with Trump and see how many things that will be good for Trump will also be good for me, and by the same token will be bad for those that I think are scummy cheats who have just been suckling, and not even suckling at the teat of our system. Like, they're like vampire bats. They're the vampire bats that come in the night and we don't even know they're suckling at our teat. You know what I mean? He's against those people, and so I don't see how he could go any other way. I like the idea of a protest vote. I wish that there was that 25-30% of us would vote for that Gary Johnson guy, although I've seen some of his VP, or maybe one of them said, I remember, I guess they want to legalize a couple of the harder drugs, and I'm okay with that personally, but I can just never see that flying on a national ticket. You know, I think they want to legalize heroin, and maybe.
I'm pretty sure that he and Bill Weld, who's the VP on the ticket, I don't think that either one of them do, but a lot of the Libertarians do, and they talked about it at the debate where they were like, yeah, legalize everything. And
I might be misinformed then, because like,
maybe Bill Weld did, but I'm pretty sure they both were saying weed, not the harder stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the VP who is more, I guess, conservative in that regard. So he's just like, yeah, free weed or legalize weed, but I don't know about the crystal meth. Come on now. But I think the Gary Johnson guy may be just like across the board legalization, and there are some positives to that. You know, just eliminate this black market. Let's stop treating heroin like it's the equivalent of a kidnapping, and start treating it like it's the equivalent of diabetes, which is probably a closer definition. You know, it's probably a closer thing that we should be treating it like, because maybe we can.
Ron Paul had that too. I remember Ron Paul was pro I'll make it up heroin, or something very hard that you wouldn't expect him to be pro, and everyone booed and stuff. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. If we legalize heroin tomorrow, are you going to start using heroin? And everyone's like, yeah, actually, no, I'm not. And
hey, now I will. You remember in the old westerns when they were smoking opium? I want to smoke some of that now. I will not shoot up, not mainlining shit. But if I could get me one of those long wooden pipes like Doc Holliday had, and toke on that thing a little bit.
Anything smoked out of a wooden pipe is pretty good, I think. But you know, the weed. Look, the drug thing. Let's get weed legalized first. You know, I used to be a huge pothead when I was in college, and for a couple of years after college, and I smoke weed now, not that often anymore, but I do have a license here in California, so I legally smoke weed. It sounds dorky, actually. I went to the 420 doctor, literally. He was the 420 doctor. And I went in and I was like, I thought I had to like create this situation of all my medical ailments. And I was like, I have headaches and my back hurts and my knee hurts. And the guy looked at me and he's like, you want to get stoned or what? Like, it was so, like, it was just utterly ridiculous. But yeah, I smoke weed occasionally. And here's the thing about weed, and this is why you have to, even if you're for all the drugs being legal, which I don't think I'd be for everything being legal, but if you are, regardless, weed first should just be legalized. Because I have smoked weed for a long time and been around people that are functioning potheads. And guess what? Anytime I ever bought weed, I never had the weed dealer come in and be like, yo, you want to buy some crack? It never once happened, except when I went once to get Xanax from a psychiatrist because I was having anxiety when I flew. The guy tried to push like 8 other prescription drugs on me. And yet we put people in jail for weed. We don't put them in jail for the designer prescription drugs that all the rich people have. So that to me is a legit class thing. And it's like all of you people, and Rush Limbaugh has hopped up on painkillers and all these other people. It's like, yeah.
Preposterous! That guy.
Nobody's getting put in jail for any of that. And at the same time, I have someone very close to me that in the last year, someone who is a middle-aged Republican person who was in jail because of weed, who had never had a prior felony or even misdemeanor or anything. That's just bonkers.
Yeah, so, Limbaugh's a real piece of shit. Like it was hundreds of pills. He was threatening someone who worked for him to get those pills from her husband. I saw this whole thing. Limbaugh's a real scummy fucker, and you'll notice that he can't hear very well anymore. And it's a big part of being an on-air personality. You got these on. You're listening to the producer in the back. You're listening to callers. You're getting your cues for ads and stuff. He can't hear very well. You know it's cranked up loud. You know he's got great sound stuff, and that's a side effect of the drugs that he was abusing, the prescription drugs, is hearing loss.
I mean, nothing surprises me. Look, all of these guys, and I say this as someone that talks for a living, all these guys that are talking all the time, all these people that online news people, I'd be happy to talk about the difference between online and mainstream media, but all these people that talk about it, guess what? They all talk because they don't know how to do anything. If they know how to do anything, they do it. But all these people, they're just talking all day long about how they could fix every fucking thing. And Bernie, I can save the economy this much by this much. And it's like, oh, so you thought of that and nobody told Obama this whole time? Like, it's so brilliant. And all these people, they treat him like Jesus, and they're like, oh, he can do it. And it's like, that's not how easy it is. He wouldn't have even controlled the House for the first 2 years, so he would have had to do it by executive order. So actually, if you want us to become a monarchy, then that would have been a great way to go about doing it. But all of these bloviating buffoons on cable news screaming about how they can know how to do everything and they know everything. And it's like no matter what the topic is, they know everything. Like we thought relations with Cuba. Suddenly people who I've never heard once talk about Cuba, ever. Suddenly they know everything about Cuba. They know everything about what's going on in Afghanistan. They know everything about the partition of Jordan in 1947. Like they know everything about everything. And it's like, actually, you know jack shit, so shut the fuck up. All right, that was my piece of
How is you were saying you could talk about the TV people versus the online people. Like, Shucks, what do you think of the YouTubers that are doing news? What do you think of the the people who just fire up their own blog?
For the most part, really, really great. For the most part. So just as a general rule, look, anyone that is exercising their right to free speech, and anyone that, especially now when people are so afraid to speak, and I get emails literally every day from all over the world. I got an email from the United Arab Emirates today. I get emails from Saudi Arabia, all over the world, of people that are afraid to say what they think because of this leftist regressive nonsense, and also because of horrifically oppressive regimes across the world. So if you're out there anywhere that anyone is listening to this and you have the balls to throw on a webcam and say what you think, whether I agree with you or not, I give you mad props, and I love helping to amplify people's voices, whether I agree with them or not. Look at the people I've had on my show. It's been a freaking cross-section of far leftists and far rightists and people that I agree with and disagree with. And we just need more conversation out there. Now, that being said, there are also a lot of bad people out there who, pretend to be giving you news online and who are just giving you pure propagandist garbage. And I'm sure you can figure out a few of who the people I'm thinking of, but there's plenty of that. They do it under the guise of news, and it's like, yeah, mainstream news is bad, and it's corporate, and they don't ask the right questions, and they don't know what and they put, as I said before, they put children of people that they're supposed to be covering or analyzing and all this nonsense. But at least there's some level of self-policing. There's some bar to get those jobs. And online, anyone can pretty much do anything. So it's a total catch-22.
You know what? I feel like I'm bothered by it and no one else is. It's the Jon Stewart, John Oliver, cop-out of being comedians. And
you mean the blackface they do of conservatives, basically? Where they just create someone who has never existed so they can kind of demonize the entire side as, oh, look at this. It's not just that they held beliefs that are different. They don't think that, an unborn baby is a baby. That's not the rationale for it. They just have a vindictive, fuck women. I just wake up every morning and I think, how can I control women? That's the narrative they construct. And I'm on your same page, Woody, if you say what I think you were going to say of, that's damaging to discourse as a whole. It's kind of just lauded as I learn even more from Jon Stewart than from my own research. Really? Because you're probably a pretty fucking stupid person.
The truth is they are a news source, right? It really is. And just like Taylor said, people will watch Jon Stewart and say...
Does anyone watch The Daily Show anymore? I mean, since he
No,
left,
it's a failure.
I literally never hear about it. I think it's completely off the map. I don't think anyone cares about it.
I think you're right. And every once in a blue moon, he'll say something that gets attention again.
At this point, they get attention and articles written about them, and the article's title will be it'll say The Daily Show. This is a perfect example of why you should let a show die with dignity. That's what the article will be about. Trevor Noah has bombed that.
To jump in again real quick and clarify the blackface comment, in no way am I saying that conservatives have ever been treated the same as black people by the United States. In no
Worse,
way.
right? Worse.
it's the same kind of strategy though. Like that's the point I'm making. Not that dressing up like George W. Bush is on the same level of offensiveness as blackface, of course.
Well, look, I get what you're saying. It's dangerous, and I did stand up for 12 years in New York. I used to be funny. That's what I tell people. Like, I don't know if I'm funny anymore, but I used to be pretty funny. And now I'm talking about Islamism half the time. It's hilarious, really. But I get why. If you want to tell people the truth, you better be funny. Otherwise, they'll kill you. That's a loose Oscar Wilde quote right there. And so I understand that comedians have been able to talk about these things in a way that's helped. Bill Maher is one of my heroes. He does a lot of it through comedy.
Does it well.
By the way, for the first time in almost my whole life, I'm starting to disagree with him on a lot of stuff. I've always agreed with him on pretty much everything.
He's shifting to the right. It's just as mandatory as moving to Florida. He's like 67 years old, and he can't help it.
You know what? I actually think that it's not that he's shifting to the right. I think he's ignoring what's happening to the left.
I don't.
Yes.
Listen. So watch. There's a video, you can get it on YouTube. His show, his ending segment, about a month ago. He was talking about that all these papers keep saying that Donald Trump is a creation of the left, meaning that the left that has not dealt with issues properly, so it's causing Donald Trump. Now, I firmly believe that, and I've had Majid Nawaz on my show saying that. I've had Sam Harris on my show saying it. Ayan has said it. Douglas Murray, a whole bunch of people have said that. And this is one of the things I've been talking about nonstop, that if the left won't deal with Islamism honestly, if it won't deal with immigration honestly, well, then all you're doing is handing it to anyone else who is going to come in and say, ban all Muslims. And then regular people who don't buy that are like, you know what? At least he said something. So
sorry, I thought there was a gap. Jump in, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, well, I firmly believe that the rise of Trump, yes, it has something to do with the right, of course. His base is on the right. He's a Republican nominee, whether he's Republican or not. But I firmly believe that the rise of Trump has everything to do with the ridiculousness and the dishonesty of the left. And that's why I've been trying to clean up left. But Bill Maher said the complete reverse. It was one of the most stark disagreements I've ever had with him. So I get why you're saying he's going right, because he talks about Islam. But that doesn't mean he's going right. That means he's going honest.
Okay, so two things. One, I think he coined the term regressive left, and I know I've heard him claim credit for it. So
Majid Nawaz actually coined it, and then on Real Time to Dawkins, he said that Sam Harris was the one that coined it, but he later said that it was Majid. But whatever.
Am I off target? I thought that I heard him claim credit for it. I could be off, but I definitely hear him poking at the regressive left, the social justice warriors, and I definitely hear him talking about Islam in non-positive ways, and particularly he tells the left to get your head out of the sand with regards to Islam. He says, look, like these people are not treating women fairly. They can't drive. They have to cover their heads, etc., etc. The left would not stand for 1 second when South Africa had apartheid. I'm quoting him loosely. But, they do the same thing in gender-based in Saudi Arabia, and all of a sudden it's okay. You have to understand, different cultures allow different beatings of different people. And, women can't get...
It's just a different set of norms over there, Woody. Yeah. We have to accept that all cultures, by virtue of their very existence, are equal.
Yeah. You know what, Woody? I think we're actually agreeing, basically, because he is doing all of that 100%. I would argue that's not him turning right. That's him keeping the true liberal line of we have to defend minorities and women and gays and have an honest discussion. It's the left that's going bonkers, and I don't think he quite realizes how bonkers the left has gone.
Yeah, you could argue he stayed on the same track, and the whole world shifted. Well, his party anyway shifted left on him.
I would that would be my argument. Yeah.
Have you seen the clip on Bill Maher's program? It was Ben Affleck acting like a petulant child, like pouting in his hands, and of course everybody on the panel, aside from one token conservative, is a liberal, and Bill Maher is the only liberal there who's like, no, this is a real problem in the Islamist community or whatever, and we need to work through this, the extremists. We need to talk about it. The first step to any kind of problem is identifying the problem so that then you can take it from there. And Ben Affleck just throws a hissy fit of like, are you maligning an entire group of billions just because you're a bigot? And it's like, you can't even have discussions with people like that. And if you look on Twitter, the regressive left, it's nothing but that. It's just, swashbuckling phantoms and specters that don't exist. These aren't real people. I can't believe, I love going into every thread on fucking Reddit about any political thing, and every comment is all this disgusting right-wing hatred. I can't believe it. And I look through, and I'm like, if I can find any hate, it's roundly rebuffed by everyone, being like, yeah, you're being a prick. Like that's all it is, just bashing phantoms and fighting specters and straw men. And they like to feel moral by fighting fictitious entities, is what I think it is.
I hope I don't blow any illusions here, but what goes on Twitter when eggs are attacking cartoon foxes and what's happening in Reddit isn't actually what's happening in the real world. People seem to forget that all the time. I'll get like memes of a Trump frog, a frog with Trump's hair.
Pepe.
Pepe or Kiki or whatever his name is, and he's putting Bernie Sanders in a gas chamber. And I don't like that. I don't like that imagery, but I'm like, you know what? If that's what this person thinks is adding to the dialogue, then it's hate speech. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's some loser who's got a fucking Trump frog and a Hitler thing. It's like, you're a nobody.
And on that same side,
get upset about that.
Those same people who on the alt-right are going way too far are fighting PC speech to the point that they're actually being racists and bigots, to where they're like, I'm not letting people dictate what I say, and then they go on a huge, legitimately racist spiel, and it's like, well, no, I don't want you on my team.
Yeah.
Like, you on my hill saying you're defending it with me. Like, I want you far away, because you're not helping.
Yeah. Well, look, the Ben Affleck thing, that was on Real Time, and Sam Harris was the one that was on, obviously, talking, and I've had Sam on my show, and we dissected this thing in and out, and there's a gajillion videos of me talking about it, so we don't have to belabor it. But all Sam did was say, you know what? There's 1.6 billion Muslims. Look at the Pew polls. Here's what the polls show. It was a totally logical. Nobody's ever said Pew polls aren't legit before. He said we just have to understand the difference between the nominal Muslim who doesn't care about doctrine and whatever and wants to live their life, and then the Islamist who believes in political Islam and wants Sharia law, and then the violent jihadist. I mean, he laid out some pretty standard stuff, that there was nothing racist. First, also, a religion isn't a race, but that seems to go over everyone's head. But all of this stuff, and he just laid it out calmly, and then Ben Affleck's response was, you're gross and racist. And then suddenly, the next day, all the websites were saying, Bill Maher and Sam Harris are gross and racist. And it's like, Bill Maher has stood for every liberal value ever, and this is what I mean about where I don't think he realizes fully what's happened with the left, is that I think he still thinks he owns the whole left. And I'm not, by no means am I talking shit about him. I still love this guy, and I would love to be on the show and have this conversation with him. But the left is shifting. The left is not good liberals anymore. The base of the left is these crazy social justice, oppression Olympics people, the Black Lives Matter people who can go to the gay pride parade in Toronto and stop it for a half hour until they sign their edict, which happened this past weekend.
Yep.
And it's like, that you're not for free speech. You now have said, okay, gays, we now consider you less than us, so you have to do what we want you to do, and we'll find someone else. And it's always someone trying to put someone else down to raise themselves. That's not how humans are supposed to behave, and it's certainly not how liberals are supposed to behave, because we're supposed to behave in logic and principle. And that's not what the left is about anymore.
You know what? It's funny because I watched the Ben Affleck thing, but I didn't see it through the same lens that Taylor did. Like, in my head, he wasn't a petulant child. He was trying to remind people that there are lots of Islamic people in Indonesia or Singapore or take it where you are that aren't the kind that he's describing.
But that's exactly what Sam Harris said. You see, this is that's the fatal flaw in this.
The truth
in this
is,
whole
I
conversation.
don't remember what Sam Harris said. I just remember Ben Affleck talking, and I'm sure I'm not alone.
No, so think of the danger of that. So you're obviously a bright guy, right? Woody, you're a bright guy.
I'm not called that very often.
You're bright enough. You're bright enough. But that's the danger of using these words of racist and homophobe and sexist and all these things. When you throw them so callously, your only takeaway from that was that maybe Bill Maher and Sam are gross and racist. Your takeaway was that these people, that Ben was defending the little guy, except Sam didn't attack the nominal person. Mm-hmm. He attacked the violent jihadist. And it wasn't even an attack. All he did was read a pew poll. So that's the danger of these words. The second you say someone's racist, now obviously there are real racists, But the second you throw that on people when it's not true, it creates such a conglomeration of
all the
people.
conversation.
What?
Yeah, it destroys the conversation.
So my takeaway from it wasn't actually that Harris and Maher are gross and racist. It was, oh yeah, I almost forget about the Muslims that exist outside of the most repressive Middle East countries, right? Like when I hear Islam, right, I think Saudi Arabia, I think Iraq, I think Iran, I think Afghanistan, I think the places where I think they're doing it wrong. I don't often think, I'm guessing United Arab Emirates is better. I know it's wealthy and kind of capitalist, but I don't know exactly. But like, there are other countries, I think, where it's not practiced with the same like oppressiveness towards women. That am I wrong?
Go ahead.
I mean, not really. Like, you know, in pretty much every depending on how you define it, there's about 51 Islamic countries, one way or another, or Islamic majority countries, and it's horrible in all of those countries for gays, minorities, women, one way or another. In any Western,
I'm going to argue against myself.
That doesn't mean that all of those people are bad. As I said an hour ago, there are free thinkers and atheists and gays all in the Muslim community. That those are the people that need our help. So every time Bill Maher tries to discuss this, and people on the left say he's racist, well, all you're doing, you're not hurting the jihadist. You're hurting the Muslim that wants help, that believes in the same things that you believe or that you believe. So that's the danger of throwing these words out, because then we leave the conversation to the people that say ban all Muslims, and because people are so frustrated, they say, all right, let's ban all Muslims.
You're turning me around. And in addition to that, like, I know a couple of American Muslims. I don't want to say much more because I hate it when my internet life and real life collide. But they don't treat their kids the same way, right? The boys date in a different way than the girls. The girls don't date at all, actually. You know, they're expected to like go to adulthood without a boyfriend, and that's not true of the sons. And it's just, when I process it, it's like, it's certainly not, as far as I know, you know, beating them with rods or anything, but different rules for boys and girls.
Maybe oranges in
By
a
the way,
sack.
all religions do stupid shit. Look, I live in LA. Religion, to me, look, all the books, in my opinion, they're all made up by people. It's just a bunch of shit that's in there, and if you want to believe it, go ahead, fine. And all the books, the Old Testament, Jews, there's a lot of bad shit in the Old Testament. God was a fucking psychopath. The New Testament, plenty of violent shit in there, and rapture and Armageddon and all that kind of stuff. The point is, it's about what people act on. So I live here in LA. It's like 90 degrees every day. I live, maybe 3 miles from a little Jewish enclave. There are ultra-Orthodox men walking around in big black jackets and wool hats. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's 90 degrees in LA. I'm in a tank top and I'm dripping in sweat. Only religion could trick you to do something so ridiculous. But the difference is, they're not trying to convert people in, right? Now they may be teaching their kids some, what I would argue is nonsensical shit. And I'm not saying that's good, but they're not trying to convert people. And if you leave Judaism, nobody cares. If you announce I'm leaving Judaism, most Jews would be like, oh, well, would you still watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? Like, that would be the takeaway. Oh, well, but you still like bagels, right? And that's the difference. So Christians right now, the left will go bonkers because one fucking Christian in Indiana wouldn't bake the gay cake. And yet, meanwhile, when all these migrants rape all these women in Germany, they do anything to deflect it from the religion. And that's crazy. A religion it only matters if their people act on it. And every time something blows up, whether it's in Bangladesh or Baghdad or Santa Barbara or London or Brussels or Paris, guess what? They keep telling you, we're doing this in the name of our religion. And Mormons aren't doing this. They're not.
I just point out that so Ramadan just passed, obviously. Everybody's like, wow, it's been kind of weird. There's been so many terror attacks. I'm like, yeah, it's Ramadan. They get special brownie points for dying during this month.
I didn't know that.
That's why it's happening. That's why this has been such a rough month. It's fucking Ramadan. They're out trying to die for their cause. If there's not a more clear causality, like you just look at it's right there to look at. Hey, look at this. It's Christmas time and the lights are out. Must be Christians.
Well, ISIS. First off, they
oh, Ramadan, it's here again. I can hear the explosions already. You hear that shrapnel? Hear the shrapnel ring? Oh man.
But we have to remember, we're all equal. We're all equal, and we shouldn't judge because we're all equal.
Yeah,
But that's the point. It's all so silly. And by the way, I'm sure some people that are watching this would say to you, that's actually not what it says. It says don't kill people in Ramadan. But then the argument would be, so you're saying then you can kill them after Ramadan? I mean, the whole thing. I would recommend, if you guys want to find some interesting stuff about this, research this guy Bill Warner. He's been on my show. He was on about 2 months ago. A scientist who decided to study religion from a scientific perspective. And he really goes into why there's a particular pervasive case about Islam. And when I say that, I am not talking about the nominal Muslim person that may live next door to me in any way, or anyone who doesn't want to push their values on me. I'm not trying to push any values on anybody. As long as I don't care what you believe in your house, as long as you don't behead me, or you believe in the law of the land and are not trying to import another law, then do whatever the hell you want to believe in the spaghetti monster, go ahead. But if you believe in beheading infidels, and by the way, you guys are infidels, just as am I, and you believe in, stoning women and all that shit, then I have to say something about it. Sorry, and that doesn't make me gross or racist.
Yeah, the problem with it, and I think what drives a lot of people, including me, crazy, is that, with the internet, you get information that, in previous decades, like, the media had way more of a throttle on what information you would and would not receive. Now, you see a concerted effort by the media to hide when, it's an extremist, extreme Islamist, whatever you want to call it, committing horrible atrocities, a terrorist, and 100% that, they'll still evoke, throw back to an abortion bombing at a clinic from 20 years ago and act like that's, like, super indicative of Christians. And you're on the same page, buddy. You guys are still there, too. When it's like, no, if there were a group of Christians doing that and they harassed or sexually assaulted a big group of women in a Scandinavian country or wherever that was, in Germany, I guess, it would be all over the news. It would be all you could hear. There were even headlines when that Adam Land's a disgusting guy who shot up the Sandy Hook school. People saying, the white community needs to really look at themselves for this. And obvious those were extreme leftist crazy publications. But the fact is that was out there. And yet not a peep from anyone, for the most part, in the mainstream media when it's to the contrary.
I don't agree.
That's why intentions matter. Intentions matter. If you say, this is everyone on the left, no matter, every time an Islamist blows up something or a jihadist murders people in all of these places that I just mentioned, they immediately say, well, the Crusades and the Christian cake and the gay cake and the bombing of the abortion clinic and all that stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute. No one's saying any of those things were good, although actually you should research why the Crusades happened because...
I love the evoking of the Crusades. It shows no history knowledge whatsoever.
Also, by the way, when they invoke the Crusades as if that's a getaway, well, guess what? If I was alive during the Crusades, I hope I would have been speaking out against the Crusades. They're happening right now, so we should talk about them. So don't try to stop me from talking about the evil shit going on now because some evil shit happened 500 years ago.
I feel like during the Orlando shooting, they really buried that guy was Islamic. Because, so my news exposure is mostly internet. And it seemed like it was everywhere. And I'm not even talking about CNN website, of course, the Fox website. Like, I go to the mainstream stuff, BBC, to see like just to get a vibe as to what's on TV because I don't watch normal TV.
Well, they cut it out of the 911 recording, didn't they?
Right, they cut it out of the 911 recording. Look. I don't know that there's, when you start talking about the media this and the media that, I don't know that there's a concerted effort by everyone. I'm not down with like that level of Alex Jones.
The press release was also, whitewashed as well. All mentions of Islam, radical Islam, anything like that. They wanted it to be a hate crime, not a terror attack. Like that, and that's coming straight down from the top. Like who's getting in someone's ear
White
and
House
saying
press
that,
release?
other than the president? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They didn't say the word Islam. I mean, the guy called the 911 and said he's doing it for ISIS and the caliphate and all that. So you have to take these people for their word. I take them for their word. When you find the abortion bomber, he probably did it because Christianity fucked him up in a way that. But it's rare that all of these people, they're telling you why they're doing it. They're saying, I'm doing it for Allah. I'm doing it for this reason. So intentions matter. So they say why they do it, and then their leftist apologists say, no, that's not what they meant. They didn't mean they were doing it for Allah. They did it because they were poor, even though they just found out all the Bangladeshi guys were middle class. Like, it's just they just want to excuse no matter what, because to them, the evil in the world.
I don't think they did it at all. I think the gun did it, as far as I can tell. It is really the gun is to blame.
Yeah, like, that was just, right. That was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke.
Yes, we're all very pro-gun.
Okay. No.
Oh, look at this! Look at this Fox News thing right now. 10 officers were shot by 2 snipers in downtown Dallas. 3 are dead. 3 are in critical condition. 2 are in surgery. This was at the Dallas protests that have been happening tonight.
Good Lord.
And there's there's a Fox.com link, which is just going to their live page. Wow, that's pretty outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, we live in really, there's that Chinese proverb, may you live in strange times. I mean, we live in particularly strange times right now. And, that's why these conversations are so important. Look, I don't think any of us are sitting here professing to have all the answers, but we're trying to have a conversation about some complex shit and in a human way. And it's like, guess what? We could all turn on, the second we're done with this, we could turn on CNN. And if you think you're going to get honest, thoughtful analysis from any of these pontificating idiots, you will be so mistaken.
I like that word, pontificating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting times, by the way. Not just being a dick. Sorry.
Thank you. That's what you do here.
It's a service I provide.
We just want everyone to remember that this episode is also being brought to you by Squarespace. When you use Squarespace, your site will look professionally designed, regardless of your skill level. There's no coding required. They use intuitive and easy-to-use tools. Squarespace has state-of-the-art technology powering their websites to ensure security and stability. They're trusted by millions of people and some of the most respected brands in the world. So start your free trial today with no credit card required at squarespace.com. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure to use offer code PKA to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace, build it beautiful. So whether you're starting a business, building a portfolio, or just expressing yourself online, remember to sign up today and go to squarespace.com/PKA.
Squarespace is how you make a website. You need an infrastructure around you. This is how you do it. If you would just do it on your own and hold enough for today's traffic, then when you explode, you will miss your opportunities. But if you take advantage of it.
It's a Squarespace.
Is it?
There you go.
There it is, guys.
How much do I get for that?
I don't know.
Pennies.
I'll give you my pen. It's a nice pen. What was I going to say? Yeah, anyways.
Something we haven't touched on, but that's been big news. I wanted to talk about the 2 very recent cop shootings. Not the one, I guess, that's happening right now in Dallas. The one with the two cops who everybody's saying. I honestly don't know a ton about the one in, I guess it was Minnesota, right?
I know the Alton Sterling one.
Yes, there was one in Minnesota.
The live stream one I don't know as well. The Sterling one, I've looked at that tape. I think it's tomorrow's vlog. I haven't edited it together yet, but I'm going to talk about it, which is something I don't normally do, like politics in my daily vlogs. And I just take the footage, I stabilize it, I look at it forward and backwards, and I'm like I'm not a cop. I don't have any special training in how they're supposed to handle these things. But I am a video editor, and I'm like, I can look at this better than 99% of the population. I can stabilize it. I can go frame by frame, forwards, backwards. I mark the section where the cop says, I don't like what he says, but he says, if you fucking move, I swear to God, right? I'm like, all right, here's the part in the timeline where he's received his instruction not to move, and then this is the amount of moving he does after. But I go through it all, and I've looked at the tape super carefully. Once they get the guy pinned and have him down, it's a pretty tough call. They tell him not to move, and he kind of does. It looks like he's trying to break his arm free. I feel like they made a huge mistake long before that, right? When they told the guy to get down, and he takes this Jesus pose, right? He doesn't. It's a non-threatening pose. Maybe they could have worked with it, They didn't have to tackle and escalate. That's the thing that, in these, and I don't hate all cops, by the way, but in the too many American cops will take a situation that on a stress level is like a 7 and turn it into a 10, right? They have to alpha the fuck out of whoever it is they're dealing with when they could be like, hey, man, let's handle this the right way. And I'm a little worried. So I know this guy, he was a detective for 16 years, or, police detective, etc. in Germany. And he says their training is much different. They're highly valued on their ability to talk down a situation. 2 guys are fighting, and this guy hit that guy, and that guy wants revenge. And he says, you know what? I agree with you, man. That guy is an asshole. You do have to get your revenge, but you got to do it the right way. We got to take that guy to court. I'm gonna throw him in jail, etc., etc. And once you can talk a guy off that ledge, it usually takes a whole new incident to bring him back on it. you know, like, and they could have done that in this situation and they didn't. They went for the tackle, and that going for the tackle to a, you know, and the guy's got a gun on his hip. They knew that was what they were called for. It was a minute before the shooting that this thing went terribly wrong. A second before the shooting, it might not have been so crazy. You know, the guy was struggling after they told him not to move. He was. But a minute before that, like, why did you bring it there? You know, that he wasn't. And by the way, in the cop's defense, if I say get down, and you know, everyone knows you got a gun, right? The police were called for that reason, and of course the gun carrier knows he has a gun. If I say get down and you do this instead, I worry that you're keeping your options open, right? Why are you doing that? Why, like, you're not putting your hands on the hood or anything. You're just like, you know, I'm keeping my options open. I'm not disarming myself.
Well, that's the thing. These things are so incredibly complex, and I'm glad you ended on that note, because that's the part. First off, the reason I haven't even commented on it on Twitter in the last few days, I've been so freaking busy, as you guys know, when we were trying to coordinate this. I haven't had a minute to even pay attention to the news beyond just the Clinton thing, because I had to get a little something on that. So I haven't even been able to watch the tapes in a way that, like, I could formulate a proper opinion. And also, everyone just watches a little tape. They immediately pick their side, and then they love their narrative, and they keep. And you can almost every time, no matter what the video shows, the people who always say one thing, and the people who always say the other thing, always say the other thing. These situations are incredibly complex. We don't know exactly what happened right before. The guy had a gun. Also, did not. I have no reason to believe that he deserved to die in any estimation, of course. But I don't envy a cop that has to be in that situation too, and I don't envy that person. It's just a shitty situation all around. And unfortunately, this is one of those things that it's become so hyper partisan that they make it seem like you're racist if you have any sympathies with the cop, and if you have any sympathies with the black person, you have no desire for law and order. And both those things just aren't true. So we got to try to get calmer heads to prevail on this, but I don't even know if it's possible. Yeah, it's funny you said you pick a side, right? So, like, I know a guy. You can see his arm was pinned under the policeman's leg, and he's doing this. And he's like, that's his what the fuck pose. You know, hey, what are you doing to me? Whereas in my head, like, it was pretty clear that he was trying to move. Yeah.
I see it from both sides.
Me too.
I feel and I think that any rational person has to. You can't just come at this like from. I feel like if maybe I had a cop in the family, I'd be like, hey, I know how this goes down. 9 times out of 10, they've got this or they've got that, and you're like, what do you mean by they? But I'm just looking at like what I have here, this little equation on the screen, and it looks like everybody's a douchebag. Surprise! It's the same thing that happened in the Trayvon Martin situation. You're like, I don't even want to give you my honest opinion because both guys are douchebags. Like nobody here was a nice guy. There was no innocent angel walking. There was no like guardian of the neighborhood like he's fucking Batman, Bruce Wayne over there. No, that's not the characters we're dealing with. We're dealing with two very flawed individuals, and those cops definitely overreacted. They escalated the situation, and it should be about de-escalation. They should walk up and say, hey, excuse me, we had a call about you, I believe. Sir, now don't touch it, but do you have a weapon on you? Let's start like that. Mm-hmm. Let's start like that. And then we don't end with, if you move, I swear to God, and then death. Do we know how it started? Do we know what that initial part of the conversation was? Because do we know that didn't happen? I honestly don't.
Here's what I do know. I know that the police came there because a homeless man called 911 and said, there's a guy here pulling a gun on people, right? I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he's a great character witness, etc. But that's what the 911 call said. And then the video picks up with the police telling the guy to get on the ground 3 or 4 times, and rather than do that, he does this. So I don't know how the conversation started, but that's the gap.
I can't imagine I saw on Reddit today the old thing from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Jazzy Jeff is in court and he's supposed to give his testimony, and he's supposed to put his hand on the Bible and everything, but he's standing there like this. The judge goes, sir, you can put your hands down. They all got guns. Next thing I know, I'll get 6 warning shots in the back. And I'm just like, as a black man, like I can just imagine seeing those 2 fucking cops walk up to you and just being like, here we fucking go. Jesus, like it must be such a fear. Like, I don't like seeing police behind me because I've usually got a lot of guns in the car, and I know there's going to be a whole rigmarole about that, where I'm going to have to explain myself and show identification and prove things. And it's just like, oh God, I hope I don't get pulled over. And in my case, I know that I'm leaving the situation with a well, that's a pretty good gun, boy. Hell, I wish I had me one of them. You mind if I shoot you sometime? That's how my encounter with the police is almost always ends, with them asking if they can use one of my guns. This guy's lucky if he survives. That's what's in his head. If I'm a black man, I'm like, I just hope I survive this fucking pullover. Jesus. Fuck, I knew I should have fixed that tail light.
So it's been left out. Do people know his criminal history? Like, I know Kyle might.
Yeah,
but...
he had a history of like marijuana distribution, maybe. So it seems like he sold weed, and he had a weapons charge against him. But I don't know if it was a gun, knife, or...
Yeah. Just to clarify, we're still speaking about the individual from the gas station case. Okay.
Yeah, in the
so
South.
He had one charge, the more recent one, where he was selling drugs. It might have been weed, I don't know. And he had possession of an illegal weapon. Again, I don't know what that is. That could have been a 5-inch knife for all I know. But he was selling drugs, and he had an illegal weapon. He spent a couple years in prison for that. Prior to that, it was sexual assault with carnal knowledge of a minor. I also don't know what that means, like
it could mean anything. The way that they like plead things down and stuff, though, because like he literally could have raped a child, but there wasn't enough evidence, or they didn't want to put the child through testifying in court or something like that, and it gets bumped down to something like that. So you never know.
Or he could have peed against the wall.
End of it. He could have been like that poor black guy from Green Mile, and he was just trying to do his best, and he got framed up. John Coffey. Like. You never know. I really hate that like a group like Black Lives Matter will make the victim of one of these things be an angel instead of just coming and being 100% honest, being like, look at this flawed man who didn't deserve to die for what he did Friday night. That's what their message should be. But then on the other side, you've got the law enforcement and maybe the news media at large saying, look at this career criminal. Put down doing, he lived by the gun, he died by the gun. It's somewhere in the middle, and we never get to that. It's sad.
Yeah. My daughter, for what it's worth, agrees with Taylor that selling CDs was probably not the thing he was really doing.
That's because your daughter hasn't been in many urban areas or driven a car before by herself. When you go to Atlanta, you go to, maybe not. When I go to a gas station in Atlanta, I'm constantly being hit up to buy CDs. It's like, hey, man, they're trying to get their rap career started. It's like, this is my album. This is me rapping. We put this together with GarageBand. My little cousin, he does in mixes. And they're always trying to sell me this CD for X amount of dollars. And I'll just be like, look, man, I don't want to buy music in a parking lot. And it's not like they're going like, it's not really music, if you know what I mean. There's a little something special in this cassette.
I mean,
it's not that.
Maybe, I have driven around urban areas plenty. Maybe St. Louis, where I
believe
live,
you
is
have.
more different than Atlanta, but selling CDs is usually not selling CDs, if you know what I mean. When it's 2016 and it's late at night.
You're telling me I could have gotten drugs from all of those CD salesmen?
I once tried to buy crack, and the guy gave me a CD. It was seriously messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the drug trade, but some people say that the CD is like a poker chip. It's a token that you exchange for drugs, right?
Well,
the way that some people would say it is that you go somewhere, you buy a CD, then you take the CD to someone else in a different corner somewhere to keep it separate, and then you would trade that for drugs directly. That's what some people would say, and that absolutely does happen. I don't know if it's just with CDs, but at the same time, Kyle's right. There are people who will just hit you up to try and sell you shit sometimes downtown. Maybe it's way more common in Atlanta than St. Louis, because I don't see it here ever.
And the guy's got drug dealer priors. Just a thing.
I believe he was
regardless,
drug
though,
dealer,
the point should be made that Kyle was saying that even if he was selling crack every day right there, 8 hours a day, like he was a job at fucking Subway, that still doesn't... that shouldn't be used as ammunition to justify his killing.
No,
I don't even think he should be roughed up.
That's not how I'm using it.
Yeah, of course not.
That's not how I'm using it. How I'm using it is I'm just, and maybe this is inappropriate, trying to get into a mind of a guy who's staring down his third felony conviction, right? He's been to jail. He's served years in jail twice already, right? So it's not like he spent overnight in jail, right? I forget the time spans, but it was like I'm making it up, like 4 years and 4 years again. That's going to be close. And so now he's looking at another like term in prison, his third felony, and he might be, you know, like feeling more desperate than somebody than like, you know, a regular person would.
He might struggle a little extra, and so use the 9mm. I guess I hated that. I hate it when like he's not allowed to like struggle a little bit while you're pinning him to the ground painfully. It's like I don't know if anybody here's ever been like, you know what jujitsu's like when someone's like pinning you and putting force in one area.
It's awful.
Now we're on concrete now, and there's two guys, and weight is being applied in places where it shouldn't. It's painful and it hurts, and you're just trying to get comfortable and make the pain stop, or at least decrease.
Sure. So I'm not, in no way am I defending this man's death. However, if cops tell you to get down and you have a gun and you don't, they are going to. This is just a fact. This is not a judgment call. They are going to have to apply pressure on you that is going to be uncomfortable. So I get what your point is, except it's like this is the danger of this whole conversation, is that we don't know exactly what led up to this, and maybe there is more information out there that we don't know, but most of the people in the media, they're probably saying pretty much the same things, and everyone's just jumping in and picking their side. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, I suspect, but again, I could be wrong, and I don't know exactly what these cops' ambitions were, but I suspect if, when they had approached him and said, you know, whatever they said, you know, put your hands behind your back and that's it, that he wouldn't be dead. That is in no way a defense of what happened, other than when a cop tells you to do something, if you don't do it, even if it's wrong, even if you've done nothing wrong, if you don't do it, you could get hurt or killed. And that would stand for all of us. Now, look, they might treat us as white people different, a good percentage of them. We don't know what that percentage is. But if you don't listen to a cop's orders, something bad probably is going to happen.
Yeah. And usually the people who argue like, oh, but you shouldn't have to do that. It shouldn't be, you know, you should never be in that situation because it's immoral on the cop's behalf. Like, there are a lot of people who argue from like an ought standpoint to how the world ought to work and how it ought to be, and you know what justice would be in an ideal world, instead of saying like, I'm sorry, we can't use this pie in the sky standard. You kind of just have to accept these are people, they're cops, they're flawed. You have to treat them like they could potentially go off because they could.
That doesn't discount that some of them are looking to get into a fight. You know, I was pulled over about 6 months ago. I literally had one glass of wine at about 7 o'clock at a friend's, and I drove home. I had to drive 5 minutes. I was pulled over in front of my house looking for parking with one glass of wine in me. The guy, he got in my face with the flashlight. You know, did you have any drinks? I said I had one glass of wine. He got me out. He had a young cop with him. So he was clearly training this guy. So he was like in his late 50s probably, training this young guy. And I could see he was really trying to assert himself and show this guy how you do it and everything. Had me get out, had me, you know, touch my nose and do all that stuff. I'm a little dyslexic, by the way. So when he had me, like, at one point I had to close my eyes and like stand on one foot and do something, like, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. But anyway, but I was also extremely nervous because I haven't been pulled over in many years. Haven't had that much experience with cops, fortunately, you know, negative experience, that is. And I guess had I said, one thing the wrong way, if I had said, wait, I'm parking in front of my house, what the fuck, man, you know, whatever, who knows, that could have escalated really quickly. And if I had fought whatever, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with this specific case, obviously, but I'm just saying that, yes, there could be a bad cop in that would have looked at a guy like me and if I had given him one bit of guff, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, there's a lot of things at play here, and we got to try to have honest discussions about it, which we're doing here.
I'm with you. And even though I think I've argued the other side of this most of the night, there is a little part of me that doesn't like to completely surrender his dignity when the police come around. You know, like I've been pulled over a couple of years ago or something. My registration was out of date, and you know, I've got a hand over my license and my concealed carry permit, and my hands are on the wheel. They're on the wheel because I want him, like, it's telling him a lot about me, you know? I have a legal gun. That says a thing. My hands are on the steering wheel. It's unnatural, like 10 and 2 when you're parked, but I'm showing him that I'm keeping them there for him. And he asked me where the gun is, and I'm like, I'm going to point with my elbow. One of those deals. And it's not just telling him where the gun is. I'm telling him I'm compliant. But, like, there is a level where, like, I don't know, like, there are police instructions that they might take that kind of surrender my dignity. If I was, for example, just walking and he wants me to spread him and put him against the wall or get on the ground, I might feel like, what? I am just walking here. I couldn't be more innocent. I don't think I should be laying on the ground. And then what do you do?
Well, he's slow on the draw, so you do what you have to, Woody.
If I'm walking as innocently as can be and he's telling me to put my nose on a dirty sidewalk.
Yeah, nobody wants that. That's bullshit. Yeah. And I don't want to change topics too much, but you should probably watch that 20-second video from the Twitter thing. It's a lady who's living in an apartment building above where that sniper shooting is happening or happened in Dallas. Chiz wrote, I don't usually say this, but that sounds like a scary gun. It sounds like a scary gun to me, too. I'm not sure what that sounds like. That sounds, it's a rifle for sure, and it's shooting a lot of rounds quickly. I'm hesitant to say it's a machine gun, but it's bum, 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 bum at one point, and it sounded a lot like a 30 caliber kind of slow cycling machine gun, but I'm sure it's an AR-15 or something like that we'll eventually find out.
I just jumped on Drudge as you said that. So it's saying cops down in Dallas shooting at a Black Lives Matter protest, 30 shots go off. So that potentially is someone, they're at a Black Lives Matter concert shooting, as we think they're shooting at the cops probably intentionally. I mean, man.
Yeah.
So
from an elevator position.
Let's do this. Let's go to this Twitter video. I'm queued up at 0 or 1 second, and then I'll say ready, set, play, and we'll watch it together.
All right. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
It's a bit loud.
It's hard to queue up at 0, by the way. I'll give you a second.
Especially with Twitter videos.
Can you just shoot that link over to me again? Oh, wait, I think I got it.
It's at 11:49. Yeah.
One sec.
How terrible.
I can't wait to hear this gun. Scared Kyle.
I bet you're hearing
it's a law rocket.
You're hearing the echo of it. Those are scary. You're hearing the echo, definitely, but you're also hearing it impact something. So there's. Go ahead.
Ready, set, play.
Oh my god. There's people laying on the ground. I hope they're just hanging.
What the fuck is going on? Somebody's really onto the team. This is not one person with this is a person with
semi-automatic.
God damn it. So when I heard that a sniper had shot all these policemen, I was like, please let it be with great grandpa's deer rifle, because I'm so tired of like AR-15s being in the news. No way. That's great grandpa's deer rifle. That's
it's semi-automatic.
Yeah, it's semi-auto. I can't tell the caliber. I don't know if you can tell that sort of thing now. Yeah. Darn.
Jesus.
Expect a gun debate soon.
Let them keep going. The Congress won't even budge on the smallest of things. That's going nowhere.
I don't share your confidence. I wouldn't bet against you, but I just feel like, at this point, it's something like 90% of the population wants it. Now, those 90% aren't as passionate as the 10.
They want 90% of the population might want some abstract idea of a safer world that involves some gun control. But when you actually lay the law out there and say, well, here's what we're gonna do. From now on, we have this arbitrary list. We call it the terror watch list. Carl there, he decides who's on it. Also, Bill, Dave. There's about 200 or 300 people who actually get to pick the names, and there's some people who work above them. They could kind of whisper down, and a name would be placed there too. Well, anybody on this list all of a sudden loses one of their constitutional rights. Not just gun rights, though. We put a little amendment in there when nobody was looking. You lose your right to free speech, search and seizure. We're really gonna fuck you over now.
Or even crazier, the no-fly list, where it's like you accidentally bring a Dasani through a checkpoint and suddenly you can't exercise your Second Amendment right. I'm interested where I haven't watched any of your content where you spoke about gun control or anything like that, Dave. Where do you stand on all that? Are you a gun owner?
So I'm not a gun owner, but I assume you guys are familiar with Steven Crowder, right?
Yes.
So Steven has offered to buy me a gun, and I'm willing to. I would like to do it. I'd like to do it because I would like to see the process. First off, I do believe in the Second Amendment, absolutely, and I would like to see what the process is like. So we're going to do that. He's been trying to coordinate it. My general feeling on this is that two things can be true at the same time. That we can have a issue with some of these weapons, and at the same time, these weapons don't magically kill people. It's the people that pull the trigger. It's the ideology that forces people to do it. So, for example, if I had an AR-15 sitting right next to me, I would not walk into a gay club and shoot gay people, and I would not walk into a mosque and shoot Muslim people. So it's not about the weapon. The weapon is just the tool, and it's about the ideology that allows people to want to kill other people. And at the same point, I totally hear your point on the watch list stuff. I would be for more sensible gun control, but when it comes to all these lists, I agree with you. I think the government is so inept that I understand why people are like, wait a minute, but how did you get on this watch list or this no-fly list or the Dasani or all that? So that's why this whole conversation is so tough, because you're combining people's desire to have their constitutional rights with their distrust of government, and government consistently shows you how corrupt and inept it is. So it's a lot of stuff, and it makes it really difficult. But I haven't dived into it that much, and I should more, and I'll let you guys know how it goes with the Crowder thing, because I think...
You know what you should consider with the Crowder thing? Like, as I was listening to you, I'm like, I hope he buys a gun at a gun show. Because you mentioned you wanted to see what the process is like. It's just like buying it at a gun store. That whole gun show loophole thing is complete bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, what's true is private party to private party sales. Mm-hmm. Like if you
inheritance, stuff like
that. But they don't like to attack that, because all of a sudden that sounds like you're taking something away that seems like you should just be able to do. Like if I want to sell a gun to my brother, this is my pistol. I bought it all legally. I'm legally owning it. He could legally own it. So I say to him, here, $300? Yeah, give me your $300, and we exchange it. That's perfectly legal in my state, because we're for a number of reasons.
In my state, you need permission to do that.
That is the loophole that they keep talking about. That is the gun show loophole. Now, what happens sometimes at gun shows is an individual such as myself will buy a ticket. He's in the gun show, and he's got a rifle with him. Now, you can't walk into the gun show with a gun that's not loaded of any kind. They even put a zip tie sort of thing through the weapon to visually ensure that this gun can't even fire if I want it to. So with a weapon like that, you can carry that weapon within the gun show as a private individual. So you'll see some guy at the gun show, and he's walking around with a World War II bolt-action rifle, usually, slung over his shoulder. He'll often have a flag stuck in the barrel, so he's easily spotted. You could tap that guy on the shoulder and say, how much for that? He'll say $200, and you'll make your exchange in the parking lot, and that's completely legal. What doesn't ever happen is that you go into the gun show, and there's Big Mike with all of his scary black rifles with the grenade launchers and the flash hiders and the scopes, etc. You don't go to Big Mike and say, hey, Big Mike, I need that $3,000 rifle right there, and I got cash. Let's forget about all this paperwork. Mike is going to report your ass after he finishes whipping it. Mike is not going to put up with that. Mike has a federal firearms license that he tried real hard to get. This is his business, his livelihood, and he hates people like you because you give him a bad name. He doesn't like you a bit. Mike will whip your ass for trying to suggest something like that. So there really just isn't a gun show loophole. It's just not a thing. It's a nice way. It's their way of talking about private sales without rustling any jimmies over actually saying what they mean. And I hate it, because I have a federal firearms license. I can conduct firearms transactions myself legally across state lines federally. And so I would always hear this thing, and I'd be like, what are they talking about? Is there something I don't even know about? And I'm like looking through my ATF handbook, like, it's got to be in here somewhere, this loophole. It's not in there. It's bullshit.
The thing that I agree with Crowder on.
Ask Crowder where he's going to do it, where he's going to get the gun. But I asked him for the gun. I want the thing that Jesse Ventura had in Predator.
I
don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's a minigun. Yeah, that's a Dylan minigun.
Oh,
I could help you with that.
Yeah, Kyle actually is the one to talk to. Of anyone I know, he's the one to look you up with a minigun for real. What you should do, though, in all seriousness, is have him get you like a really nice, like 1911, a Kimber 1911 or something really expensive gun. Take advantage of this. But I do totally agree with Crowder's thing of.
I was waiting for his point, but his point is just get
of,
as much money as you can.
Yeah, get as much money. But Crowder's thing of like of buying a gun for someone, so they have to go through that process. I've found that the people who are usually most in favor of gun control aren't gun people, maybe just because they aren't interested in it or they're afraid of it. But none of them have actually gone through the process. If you just watch if I wasn't a gun owner and into guns and I didn't own any, I would think that I could just walk into a fucking Cabela's, slap $500 down, and walk out with a rifle. And that's absolutely not. Like, nowhere can that happen.
Well, look, obviously I don't want to comment too much on the news that's happening right this very second, but it sounds like 11 cops shot, and it's like this is gonna really alter the debate, because most likely if this person was a Black Lives Matter supporter who was enraged about what happened, if it was, and he was enraged about what happened over these last couple of days, it flips a lot of this on its head, because there was a lot of demonization of cops, obviously, in the last couple of days. Now this guy, was the gun legal? Was it not legal? There's just so much here, and there's been a through line to our conversation here, which has been that these are complex issues that we got to talk about. Otherwise, these things are just going to keep happening.
That's terrible. I get 11 cops shot. That's outrageous.
Ridiculous. And it's odd to me. Like, do they not know the location of the shooter?
An elevated position above in a garage or something, parking garage. So he got up high and he's shooting down.
So Chiz is feeding us some information. Suspects threatened to plant bomb downtown. Thorough search in progress. One suspect cornered. So they at least know where one is. And I guess after they get one, they find the other. I don't know. Like, he'd give him up. I don't know.
If there's only two, but who knows?
Oh yeah, I got the idea there was two from another. He said there were two snipers, but like you said, information at this point must be pretty bad. Unreliable.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I would love to keep going with you. I have been talking literally since 7 in the morning. We did our first test shows for the new show today, and I've been Skyping all day long with all kinds of people, and I desperately need.
All right.
I need some food. I haven't eaten since like 11. It's 9 o'clock. But really, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. And let's stay in the loop. And
that was fun.
Hey Dave, if people want to know about your stuff, where do they find you?
You can go right here on the YouTube, youtube.com/Rubin Report. I'm Rubin Report on Twitter. It's facebook.com/Rubin Report, Instagram.com/Rubin Report.
This man's got his branding down.
He is an all-star, the guy.
We appreciate that around here.
RubinReport.com and all that good stuff. And listen, it's always nice to meet people in this space that care about good conversation. So really, I totally enjoyed this.
Very good.
Yeah,
hey,
thanks
have a good night. Thanks for coming on.
To our fans out there, be sure to check out Loot Crate again. I wanted to remind you one more time. Join us in celebrating this month. The theme is the futuristic. So they've got pop culture stuff from Rick and Morty, Futurama, Star Trek, Mega Man, Valiant Comics, all that stuff. Remember, you only have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific time to subscribe and receive this month's crate. Once that happens, it's all over. So check them out. lootcrate.com/painkiller. Enter offer code painkiller. Get $3 off your first purchase.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah. See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dave. So is the show wrapping now? It's still live, just so people know.
Yeah, I think we should. I think that's good. We got 2 guests in there. We talked about all kinds of terrorism, all kinds of got video game talk in there. We got
Content
got anything else?
dense.
Drama. Yeah. All right.
Got drama.
That was Painkiller already, episode 290. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I thought it was a strong one.
I had a lot of fun.